How can you live with yourself now that you're all alone and alone? When you stare at your face in the glass, when you're driving in your car and you crash, do you know where you're going when it's over and done? Here they come.
Great song. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the National Church and Academy of Lord Jesus Christ. It's your old teacher of the mysteries, preacher of the heart. It's old Uncle Marty. Welcome, everybody. We do service every Sunday at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time, and so that's why you're here. So we got a good flock of good birds, best flock of birds on the internet this side of heaven. So, all right, let's do a prayer, and then let's get into this. We got a long one today. We got a lot of clips that we're going to play, a lot of video. I'll just get at you right now. A lot of video that we're playing, a lot of clips. We're going to go over a ton of different stuff, so strap in. Going to be a good one. O Great Spirit, I stand amidst the sacred hoop, with the point in me reflecting you, sent to earth to seek the truth and to see the greatest of journeys through. I seek the one who all things sees, and he who has the power over everything, he who knows all and whose remembering will be shown to us again. Lord, may you heal this body and reignite my soul. May you grant me rest when I need it so. Teach me to hold and when to let go. Exorcise every worry from my mind. And at the end of life and my time to go, at the last hurrah, the end of the road, as the curtain calls on one final show, may I have come to know all I could know. Not for the power or the prestige or gain of any material thing, but all my wisdom to you I'll bring to prove my love to you. Okay. Before we get going, let me just say happy solstice, happy winter solstice to all you people, except the people that are in the southern part of the globe. Then I guess we're back on the globe now? Is that what's going on? Nah, I'm just kidding. Happy solstice, everybody. To those of us in the north, it's winter, and to the south, it's summer. Oh, my God. So that's what we're going to talk about today. The final experiment, the 24-hour Antarctic sun. That's what we're going to discuss today. And we're going to basically show all the misnomers, all the problems that we have just even undergoing this alleged experiment is basically what we're going to talk about today. We're going to cover a lot of things. So let's get into it. Okay. Hold on. Sorry, I think this is pardon me. Sorry. Just a little bit hazy this morning. Okay. So the final experiment, you guys probably know. Now, I haven't discussed this at all. Like, if you guys notice, I haven't even mentioned it in our Telegram. I haven't mentioned it on YouTube. I haven't, that sort of thing. And there's a reason for this, and I'll explain that today, why I haven't said anything. So what is the final experiment? Let's just get up to date for those of the people that do not know. Okay, so this comes from Professor Dave, our favorite Professor Dave.
On February 13th of this year, a rather cryptic video was uploaded to YouTube on a channel called The Final Experiment. Pretty mysterious, no?
And so I remember when I first saw that video, I was immediately just didn't trust it. I was like, okay, whatever's going on here, I'm just not really going to be a part of it just because I don't trust the source and that sort of stuff, which we'll get into a little bit today. But so basically what happened is that this guy, this Will Duffy guy basically has a bunch of money, put together basically a little adventure all the way down to south, the southern Antarctica, as far south as they could possibly go. And they were going to see, hey, if we see a 24-hour sun, then this proves it's a globe. And if we don't, then the flat Earth is over. And that's basically this sort of setup the whole thing was. So basically this whole, and there was a lot of people apparently in the flat Earth that were basically saying that there's no 24-hour sun. Our model can't work if there's a 24-hour sun. Now, just so you guys know, I was never part of this camp. I never exclaimed that. In fact, I've seen videos that I was like, well, it seems like there is a 24-hour sun. I can't prove it. I can't disprove it. But so they went down and they found out that, guess what? The sun is rotating above us in a circle. That's what they found out. So there's a 24-hour sun in the Antarctic. And so I guess a bunch of flat earthers are freaking out and being like, oh my God, this doesn't fit the model. And we're going to discuss that today, of all the issues of that they had going down, and of the assumptions that they made and what they think that they're looking at and the problems that we have with understanding our cosmology in the first place. Every single person that went down there, as we're going to show today, and as we've been saying literally since 2017, guys, since 2017 I've been saying this shit. Every single person that went down there went down with a faulty understanding of their cosmology. Full fucking stop. Full stop. Every person, Globey, Flat Earther, everybody that went down there and looked up in the sky and saw a big sphere, disk of light, that whatever it is, they have every single one of those guys have a faulty understanding of our cosmology, and we're going to discuss it today, okay? And so what do we do with this? Does this mean flat Earth's over? No. Yeah, baby. Come on, man. We all know shit's flat as fuck. It does not matter what they discovered down in wherever they were, right? In Antarctica, a little tip in the peninsula there, and they looked up at the sky and they saw a sun revolving around us. And somehow that, for the Globies, think that says something about the plane of Earth that we're on. No, it doesn't matter what they saw in the sky and what they mapped and tracked. It says nothing about the geometric plane that we're on, and that's what we're going to discuss today. So the Earth is flat. It's still flat, guys. I don't know why anybody would even contest this whatsoever. And we're going to talk about today the mainly just a few criticisms at Jaron and Witsit, but mainly just for clarification, not to be some backseat driver like, armchair quarterback or some shit like that. I actually have no problem that they went down to Antarctica. If they wanted to go, they should went, and they did. And so the problem was that they had in their mind a model of what goes on Earth, and that model was incorrect. And as I've been saying, I've been saying this for a very long time, that the assumptions made about what they're looking at is the problem, and we'll discuss it all today. So this is where you are. This is a balloon, I guess, that's 23 miles up. What do you see? Allegedly, there's curvature when you stand on the ocean and boats go over the curve, but when you go high up, there's nothing. There ain't no curvature. None. So the globe has been deep fried. It's been put on a spit and get it? You put it on a spit and turned. See what I did there? This shit's dead, guys. I don't know why anybody would even contest this whatsoever. And we're going to talk about today the things that we can know and what we can't know. And that's part of our cosmology. Everything that you experience has these parameters. And as we're going to see, everyone experiences the exact same thing. And we're going to go over this today. So there's actually no problem whatsoever about a 24-hour sun in Antarctica. That says nothing about the plane of Earth that we're on. Now, I did a live stream. I don't know, this was maybe a couple months back or something like that. Where it basically called it the biggest conspiracy in the world. And one of the things that we talked about, of course, was flat Earth, about that we're being lied to about our cosmology. Now, nowhere in this video did I sit there and explain the physics of the heavens above us, and this is how the sun works, and this is how the moon works, and this... No. In this video, in fact, I said... I'm actually bored with flat Earth. And even in this Antarctic sun 24-hour thing, I'm still bored with it, guys. To be honest, I didn't lose any sleep over this. I wasn't like, freaked out. I didn't have one bit of anxiety. I wasn't like, I guess it might be a ball now. Nope. You know why I'm bored with flat Earth? Because once you glow back, as they say, once you glow back, you never go back, right? Once you realize that the Earth is flat, that's it. There's nothing more, like, it's geometrically flat. What's going on upstairs? That's a big question. We'll talk about that. So the final experiment, is this the end of flat Earth? No, it's just the beginning, and we'll talk about that today. Because now flat earthers actually can come to an actual understanding of where they are and what's actually going on upstairs. And you know what we're going to find out today? There ain't much you can say about it. And I've been saying this for a very, very long time. And I don't mean to like toot my own horn or anything like that. I'm not one of these guys to be like, I told you so, but I'm going to say it at this point. I fucking told you so, okay? Should have been listening to me. Okay, let's talk about it. So why am I a flat earther? Because, duh. The Earth's flat. It's geometrically flat. We can measure it flat. We know it's not moving. There's no experiments to tell us that it's moving. We can absolutely see way too far. They've given us the absolute parameters. This is how big the globe is. This is how much curvature you should have. Blah blah blah. Of course, at this point, it's so thoroughly debunked that there is no curvature, that there's nothing else to discuss except the Earth is flat. What's going on upstairs? That's a good question. That's a good question. And I'm here to say that I don't think we'll ever know. And that's not a cop-out. That's not me being like, well, you flat earthers are just trying to cope now. No. Just so you guys know, long before there was any Antarctic experiment, long before anybody was saying that, oh, there is no 24-hour sun, long before any of that shit, I was saying, you're not going to know. Okay? So, now, just so you know, a lot of people were calling out, it's like, oh, this was fake, Jaron is a shill, and Austin is a shill, and Dave Weiss is a shill, and this is green screen, and it was like some sort of fake sun and all this other shit. I'm like, you guys all need to calm down, okay? Every single person that's saying that shit, you need to calm down. So, Dave Weiss did say it right. He said, basically, you have to give everybody a break because we've been deceived so many times before, and some people don't understand how, a green screen works and things like that. So, I think we need to give people a little bit of break that people are like, this is all fake, it's all blah, 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 okay? No, I don't think it's fake at all. I actually think Jared and Austin are not shills, and Dave's not a shill. Now, this whole, how it was all set up and who was behind that very well could be, whatever, some sort of conspiracy or whatever, that's fine. I'm not even going to assert that today. I don't care, I don't know. All I do know is that the whole thing was essentially a setup to make flat earthers look stupid, right? Because flat earthers, Jaron and lots of these people were asserting that they had some sort of model for the earth, and they don't, because they were asserting that they think those things are physical, and that's a huge problem. So lots of people saw this and immediately like, no, it's fake. I don't think it's fake at all. Maybe I'll be proven wrong about that, but I don't think it's fake at all. So I'm not in that camp at all. But, this reminded me of the same people that when we went to Hawaii, we flew to Hawaii. As you guys know, Mauna Kea, the freaking island started erupting and there was lava everywhere and we had to evacuate and stuff like that. I had people when I was live streaming telling me that lava was fake. And I'm like, dude, lava's not fake, okay? I was literally called a fed and a shill and all this other stuff. Prove the lava's real and all this other. I'm like, dude, lava's real. We literally built our house on it, okay? So I get it that people like freak out and they, because they've been so deceived and that sort of stuff. So I understand that. But at some point you got to like step back and be like, okay, maybe I just got to rethink things. Maybe there's some things that I didn't know before that now, that I might know in the future or that sort of thing. So, everybody just calm down is all I'm saying is that first problem you're going to have is about trying to understand our cosmology is you're not. And that's what we'll discover today. The equation, if you will, if there was an equation, if you will, this is the Higgs boson equation. I'm just using this as an example, right? Analogy. The amount of complexities, the amount of variables, the amount of things that you have to take into consideration to truly understand our cosmology is so complex, so multifarious and that sort of stuff, that you're never going to be able to actually understand it. And we'll explain why today. Listen, you are never going to be able to explain what's going on up there. And maybe, I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm dead wrong. I hope Marty Leeds gets proven wrong. I will celebrate it. We'll do a live stream together. We'll wear hats and that sort of shit. Because I don't care about being right. But as far as I can tell from my own philosophy, my own theology, my own understanding of science, we can't actually know what's going on upstairs. So if we want a true understanding of our cosmology, do you have any idea the amount of variables, the amount of things that you have to consider to truly understand it? What flat earthers have done is just simplified this thing. It's a ball. It's like a physical thing and it's revolving around the flat earth. Actual physical, and then we think that we're going to see it here, but we don't, so therefore our model, that guess what, guys, as we're going to find out, that shit is not physical. Never been. So what we're doing is trying to make a physical model actually like putting a spherical little ball in the sky over a flat Earth and thinking that that's physical. And that is wrong. That's dead wrong, is what we're going to find today. So this thing was entirely set up to, they probably, whoever it was that was behind this, probably understood that there was a 24-hour sun. I actually never really questioned it. I had seen some video of 24-hour sun, and I was like, well, that doesn't look fake. Did it stop me from being a flat earther because there's something I don't understand about the heavens above? No. But I realized that when this whole thing was set up, or, that was presented, it was probably a setup, because they probably knew that there was a 24-hour sun down there. They had a bunch of flat earthers that were just asserting without any question that there wasn't a 24 hours down there, so it was probably set up. Now, isn't it interesting that, and here comes the news articles, of course, like even coast to coast, look at all these stupid flat earthers, they're flummoxed, they have no idea, they're just all eating their words now. No, we're fucking not. At least this flat earther's not, just so you know. And I'll show you proof of why everything that we've been saying has been consistent for years. So, flat earthers grapple with the experience of a 24-hour Antarctic sun. Oh, I guess this means the earth is not flat. That's nonsense. Of course, you have the gloating globers putting flat earth in its place, blah, 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 blah. We've absolutely refuted the flat earth. They haven't refuted shit. Nothing. They went down there, looked up in the sky, saw something in the sky, assumed it was physical, assumed it had some specific place, assumed it had to do something, and that's it. They didn't actually do anything, as we're going to find out today. Literally nothing. Flat earthers are desperately dodging a free trip to Antarctica, Professor Dave explains. Well, as we found out, no, they weren't. No, they weren't. So now all of these globers that are like, you guys are just liars, you're just grifters, you're just lying so you can have subscribers on YouTube and make a bunch of money. Well, guess what? Jaron and Austin proved you wrong, Professor Dave. They went down there. And when they went down there, did they say anything other than, no, there's a 24-hour sun? So apparently, Professor Dave, and all those people that are calling them grifters and liars, well, they're obviously not lying. They admitted that they were wrong. And not only that, they went down there. So apparently, those guys actually deserve an apology. They actually did the scientific thing. They were like, okay, we don't think it's down there. I don't know why they asserted that in the first place. I don't know why they did that, but beyond that, they said that, and then they went down and actually showed that, no, we'll go down and actually go through the scientific method and see it ourselves. Not that they actually did any science, by the way. We'll talk about that. But, so all those people are like, they're all grifters. I think they deserve an apology. I think Jaron and Whitsitt deserve an apology. Okay? The funny thing is that all of us flat earthers, this is what the globers don't know, right? So, like, this is why when I heard this, I was like, oh, okay, so, it hasn't changed literally anything that we've been talking about, is that we've all eaten humble pie. And it was a joint effort. See what I did there? It's a joint. Good album. We've already eaten the humble pie. We've already recognized that we were lied to, that we were completely ignorant, that we were idiotic about a bunch of things, that we had to rethink everything about our cosmology. We've had to rethink everything about our history. We've had to rethink essentially everything we know, which immediately puts us in the position of what? Being utter and complete fools. We've already put ourselves in that position. And guess what? Through our own experience, our own, scientific discoveries and things like that, we found out that the earth is flat. And guess what we also found out? As this trip is going to teach us that there ain't much that we could say about what's going on upstairs. Now, this is from Jaron. This is Jaron at Antarctica, and I just want to say this. Now, I wasn't invited to go down to Antarctica. Now, if Will Duffy would have invited me, I would have said no. Why? Not because I'm scared to go to Antarctica. I would have said before we went that chances are we are going to see, quote me, I would have said before we went that chances are we are going to see a 24-hour sun. If Pat or Will Duffy or whatever his name is asked me to go, I would not go because I don't trust him and I've got a bunch of shit to do. If Jaron and Austin would have came to me and said, hey, we're going down, we would like somebody else to go that has maybe a different perspective on these things. Because the perspective I would bring down to is saying, guess what? Chances are we are going to see the 24-hour sun, and guess what? It still doesn't say shit about the geometric plane that we're on. That's what I would have said. I would have made a video about it. I would have got together with those guys, and this is what I would have said. This isn't me like, this is exactly what I would have done. What I'm going to present today is exactly what I would have presented to the entire audience, okay? Been like, hey, these guys think there's a 24-hour sun. I'm saying that we can't know. Chances are there is a 24-hour sun, and guess what? Still, the earth is fucking flat. That's what I would have said. And that's what I'm going to say today. So Jaron and Whitsett went down, and Jaron is a Californian. Now, they didn't invite the Wisconsinite down there, but they did invite a Californian. So this is Jared. It's kind of funny, actually. So this is Jared in Antarctica.
Somebody asked me last night, what would it take to get me to come back here? And honest to God, if you offered me this trip for free, I would not come back. Honest to God, if you asked me to come back here for $5,000, I'd tell you to take a fucking hike. At least you had a good time? No, it was miserable. I don't know what you mean. It was not a good time. Oh, that bucket's fun right there. That's where you take your piss bucket from the night piss and dump it in there. So you can see the liquid, all people's piss. It's lovely, isn't it? And the showers, miserable. Did you guys, oh, I guess everybody on my GoPro got to see the showers. I don't think I could go that far and still get service. Let's try it. You want to see the showers? Too far away. Anyway, you have to go in there, and then you grab a bucket and you fill it with boiling water that they're boiling back behind there. And then you stick a tube in it, and the tube has a little spray nozzle, and you flip a switch on the spray nozzle, and it drips out of there on you. And it's pretty miserable. And of course, the water that's boiling is way too hot for a shower. So then you got to throw snow in it. But by the time you realize it's way too hot, you're fucking naked. And then you're like, wait, now I'm naked in the shower and the fucking boiling water's too hot. And now I got to go outside and get some snow.
So I don't know why they invited the Californian down there. I don't know if you guys know me, but Jennifer and I, we lived up north in Wisconsin. I'm like from Wisconsin, right? So they invited a Californian down to like the most inhospitable, like cold place of the earth. And then he couldn't handle the shower, and he couldn't handle the pooper and the frickin', all that other stuff. And he was miserable. I wanted to leave. I'm like, Jennifer and I, we used to live up north in Wisconsin, like in the bitter cold in this hunting cabin. We used to not have indoor water, running water. So we used to have to take these 5-gallon totes of water, put them on like a little sled with a solar generator, and we would drag the sled over to the river, and then I would have to break through like I don't know how many feet of ice or whatever with the little turning thing, and then I would have to take the water suction thing, the pump thing, and then pump the water out, and then put it into these ice cold freaking 5-gallon things, and then I would have to take those and put them on the sled and then trench across the snow. Then we would take those and we would drive all the way up to our cabin, and then that's the water, the ice cold water from a river that we used to shower for over 2 years. Okay, so if you were going to call somebody that could handle the cold, you should have been fucking Marty, dude, and not the Californian. No offense, Jared. I mean, I get it, but but nobody asked me. Nobody asked me much. So anyway, so why do I not debate flat earth? Why have you guys never seen me in one of these modern day debates or anything like that about flat earth? You know why? Because the earth's flat. There's nothing to debate. We can debate everything that's going on upstairs, and we'll talk about that today, but there's nothing to debate. The earth is geometrically provably flat. Everything else beyond that, as I'm going to show today, is pretty much a big damn question mark. And I've been saying that for a long time now. There's nothing to debate. Everything else about our cosmology becomes intense speculation, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So when you look up, and this is the theme of this entire live stream, is basically this. When you look up at the sun, what is it? What is the sun? Now, modern science basically says, well, it's the sun, it's this ball of gas, and it fuses hydrogen atoms to make helium in its core, and it fuses about 6 million tons of hydrogen every single second, yielding 596 million tons of helium. The remaining 4 million tons of how would you prove any of that? How do they know what's inside of the sun? They don't. How do they know the sun is a ball? Well, it looks like a ball, and we've got to tell. Yeah, but you would have to go and actually go and land on the sun to prove what that sun is at all. And that goes for any of the objects in the stars whatsoever, right? So, of course, they tell us what the sun is. The sun is formed 4.6 billion years ago. It's a giant spinning cloud of gas and dust began to collapse due to its gravity. Much material collapsed together, formed the sun. How do you prove any of that? How do you prove any of that? The fact is that when we look up in the sky, This is the difference between of a Gnostic, or what we could say even like a spiritually inclined understanding of our cosmology, is that everything upstairs is immaterial and everything down here is material, which means everything up there we can't say anything about. Basically nothing about. What is the, let's just look at the sun and moon. Forget about the rest of the stars, what the clouds of the Milky Way is, and what the planets. Forget about any of that. What's the sun and the moon? What are they? Where are they? Where are they in the sky? How big are they? How do they float across the sky? What is the mechanism that makes it float across the sky and stay in its path that never varies, as far as we understand, since time immemorial, kind of thing? Are they spheres or are they disks? That looks like a sphere. It looks like it's spherical, right? But then, of course, it just remains flat in our sky, and we only see the one side of it. So what are these things made of? Once again, science, modern science, astrophysics, as we'll say, which is not a thing, will tell you that they're made of helium and gas and stuff. Prove any of that. Can you prove any of that? How do they stay lit? Okay? The fact is, when you look up in the sky, there's nothing you can say about it. The only thing you can say, what is that stuff? What is it? I have no idea. What is it? We have no idea. We can't say anything about it. We can't say anything about the sun. We can't say anything about the moon. It appears spherical. Other than that, that's about all we can say. What is it? We have no idea. So how much science can you actually do on those things? You can't say what it is, where it is, how big they are. They appear spherical. Are they a sphere, or are they actually, they appear two-dimensionally flat is actually what they appear. Are they a sphere? What can you say? Literally nothing. Those guys, everybody that went down there, assumed that that was some physical thing in the sky, making a physical path around the physical flat Earth, and that's what's going on. Guess what, guys? That's not what's going on. And their little trip proved that. So, let's talk about the sun a little bit. When those globies say the sun, flat earthers say the sun, anybody says the sun, by the way, what the fuck are you talking about? How does any of the science work in any model? Globe, flat, whatever. Name one other light source that you do not have to feed or charge, that never goes out. Can you name one? When I have my wood stove going, right, and it like starts dying out, you got to keep feeding it the oak, right? Is there some like elves in the back of the sun that's just like shoveling coal and that sort of thing? We can't say anything about it. Do you know what we can say? We can't say anything about what's going. We can't say where those things are. Apparently, there's some place in the sky. Can we absolutely pinpoint? No. Can we say it's a sphere? Can we say it's a flat disk? No. Can we say how it runs? What's the mechanism behind it? How does it float in the sky? Can we say anything about it? No. What is it? You can't say what is it. Do you know what you can do, though? You can say what the Earth is. And this is the whole thing that we're going to go over today, so we can get a proper understanding of our cosmology. In mathematics, a plane is a flat two-dimensional surface that extends indefinitely, of course, right? Now, of course, we're not saying that the Earth extends indefinitely. There probably is an edge, but so when you talk about geometry, you are talking about, literally, this is the etymology of it. Geo means earth and metry means to measure. This is earth measure. We can measure the Earth. We can measure the Earth. We can actually, once again, figure out that there's no curvature, because we can see some, as we'll see today, some places hundreds of miles. Well, that doesn't form to any sort of sphere whatsoever. Now, of course, it doesn't really matter because the globe earthers are never going to admit this, so that doesn't really matter. But so here's let's look at Will Duffy. This is what is understood, and we're going to watch Owen Benjamin and Witsit Gets It. They had a little conversation while Witsit was down there, which is actually pretty cool, pretty historic, actually. You know what I mean? The comedian there and the Witsit guy got together and they were talking while they were on site. That's pretty awesome. So, but what this is what the whole thing was set up, and Owen actually called it right away, which is great. It was a false binary. This is what it is. It's either got to be A or B. It's got to be either Pepsi or, Coke or whatever. Well, that's nonsense. It's total nonsense. And no one should have went down there with that in their mind. Not the globers, not the flat earthers, not should have been like, well, if we see the sun, then it's a globers. That should have been not even close. It should have been well established that before anybody goes down there, and this is what I would have done if those guys would have asked, I would have said, we are making a video together, Witsit, Jaron, me, and we're going to say specifically, it don't fucking matter what you see in some southern place and the flat plane of Earth. It's still flat. It does not matter what we see in the sky. If it's turning this way or that way, or if it appears over here or there, it does not say anything about the flat, provably flat, stationary plane that we were on. It says nothing. And we're going to distinguish that today. So what this was known as a false binary. And Owen called it right away, by the way, right? There's lots of people that actually called it right away. But he's talking to the guy that's in Antarctica, Witsit, about it. So this is Will Duffy setting up the experiment, and this is why I did not agree. I would not have agreed to this experiment whatsoever if Will Duffy asked me, because it was under the assumption and the parameters. It was presented as if we go down there and we see the sun do this, then that means it's a ball. And now I know Austin and Witsit, or Austin and Jaron did not go under those pretenses. Like, they probably told their audience something else. But by even agreeing to going down there with them, they essentially agreed to the the parameters of the quote unquote experiment. And I would have said before we went down, we're making a video that says specifically, it don't fucking matter what we see down there. It does not make the Earth spherical. And that should have been made extremely clear and explain why it doesn't matter, which is what we will do today. So what they did was, this was a false binary, and the entire thing was set up as a false binary, which means this is not science at all. You can't just say it's A or B. It's either A or B. Well, what if it's fucking C? What if it's Z? You never even considered that, which means none of the people that ever agreed to such a parameter as far as an experiment is concerned is actually doing science. Not one. So here's the false binary that Will Duffy set up, and this is why I would have never agreed to what his little trip was. And it has nothing to do with, I'm scared. I'm a flat earther. I'm scared to see a 24-hour sun. Fuck that.
The final experiment is about the fact that a 24-hour sun in Antarctica does not work on a flat Earth. It's not possible on a flat Earth. And it's obviously what the globe says happens. Now, that doesn't mean every...
So, once again, let me just say this right there. He's just telling you openly. This was within like maybe 3, 4, 5 minutes, something like that, of this video that he's presenting. Less than that. And he's saying the sun does not work on a flat Earth. That's a huge assumption. That's because you assume that what you're looking at is a physical object. And what we're going to show today is that ain't the case at all. Doesn't matter who's looking up at that thing. As far as we can tell, that shit is metaphysical.
The final experiment is about the fact that a 24-hour sun in Antarctica does not work on a flat Earth. It's not possible on a flat Earth, and it's obviously what the globe says happens. Now, that doesn't mean every single day of the year has a 24-hour sun in Antarctica. It doesn't matter when there's a 24-hour sun in Antarctica. If there is, that falsifies flat Earth, and it confirms the globe. In the exact same way, if there's ever a 24-hour moon in Antarctica, that falsifies flat Earth.
Somebody in the comment here is saying, if the sun isn't physical, what is it? A ghost? I don't get that at all. Well, just ask yourself, if the sun is physical, then how is it continually fed energy to continually light since the dawn of time? Doesn't make any sort of physical sense. And as we're going to show today, when we look up at the sky, none of those things appear physical at all. They might appear physical, but every other thing that we can say about them is that it's not physical. And by the way, this is the foundation of our cosmology that's expressed around the world. It's something that we've been talking about, like I said, at least since 2017. And it's what you actually experience. And we'll go over the whole thing. Okay, so this is Owen and Whitsitt in Antarctica talking about the false binary.
I think the thing that's spiraling people is the false binary of, oh, well, no, it's not a spinning globe, though. And you're like, it doesn't mean it is. Like, it just means that one model isn't true. And that's fine. Like, I was never sold on any model because I know that little trick. It's like a marketing trick. Is Miller Lite, does it taste great or is it less filling? Like, you're doing an assumption that it's Miller Lite. So is it this model or the globe model? It's like it can be an almost infinite amount of other things and we might not be able to fully conceive it, but you can prove it doesn't have the curve or the spin that they claim. And if them sending you to Antarctica to look at a light in the sky is their only evidence, that makes the globe even weaker. But Weiss is definitely rubbing his little Jew hands right now.
Yeah, he froze for a little bit, but it's so funny. That's when I came back. Yeah, I mean, I think that his app is useful for
me too.
Like, kind
me
of visualizing
too.
things.
Yeah, I love Weiss.
Yeah.
No, I understand. Because he was
wrong.
like, yeah, because Weiss is a great guy. Like, I get it, and it's like he's like he put himself out there. He's like, I'll show you what it could be. I'll show you how another thing can function without the globe. And the globe doesn't function either. It doesn't make accurate predictions like people claim at all. So you just have two models that aren't fully accurate, but you are on a plane. Like this is a plane and it's not moving. And I love that you went there and I love that you're so cool with it. It shows that your ego isn't attached to this shit. Like to be able to stay in wonderment is just the best.
Yeah, man, it's cool. It's cool because now I was telling everyone before, I'm like, this is super good for what people call fighters. I even think that title is kind of lame, but because now we get a huge piece that we didn't have.
Exactly.
Another
data
really
point.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like that's so cool. We could have sat here and talked about it for 20 years thinking this wasn't here, and that would have been a waste of time. And now we know it's here. I think that's just a good thing. I don't really fear truth,
Bingo.
The classic saying. The classic saying, truth doesn't fear investigation is true. So yeah, man, I'm pretty chill about it. I am disappointed in some people. I think they're having like an emotional reaction. They're kind of coping and they're suffering from cognitus,
Yeah.
because the evidence didn't match what they wanted. But it's like, bro, that's what the globe model and the globe proponents do. And that's why they're so annoying.
Exactly.
They don't.
Exactly. That's
dude.
why it's like, why not just go to Hollywood or NASA? They have more money. Like if you're going to be an asshole, just be funded then. Like the whole reason I'm a truther is because I can't stand that narcissistic trait of like, oh, our equation's wrong. There must be dark matter. Oh, you don't factor in the spin. Oh, well, that just means blah, blah, blah. It's like, or maybe you're just wrong. Right. And so,
Exactly.
Yeah. So, and I get it. Trauma makes people dig in. So the globe people can be so mean that some of these flat earthers have gotten some hubris and gotten some real pride and some aggression. And now they're thinking about everyone they spiraled on. And they're like, fuck, they have to just own that shit and just own it. No one cares. People have more respect for it if you just own it anyway.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I think everyone should just be chill about the whole situation because the only part that's gotten to me per se is like people that I know.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, what is wrong with you? I talked to you the whole way here. It really makes me realize that people just internalize beliefs a lot. And that's not always the best move. You should always be open to just whatever is, because there's no way that whoever made this place you're anywhere on that level of understanding it.
There's no way that whoever created this place, that you're anywhere on this level of understanding it. That's how we ended that. And I was like, now you're getting it, dude. Now you're getting it. So Basically what they were talking about is pretty spot on as far as like watching people just lose their fucking mind because they had it in their head. This thing has to be physical and has to go over this way and all of that sort of stuff. And then they found out that, it didn't fit that thing and they had in their head. And so therefore they just lob sort of like accusations about these guys. It's fake. It's a fake 24-hour sun. It's the Jaron can't be trusted. Austin, that sort of stuff. Well, guess what I'm going to show you guys today? I don't give a shit what let's just not, for the sake of this argument, let's not trust those guys whatsoever. Let's just say, for the sake of an argument, it was all fake and it was that sort of stuff. Still wouldn't matter, especially with what I'm going to show you today. Because once again, what we can show is that, as far as we know, none of that stuff is physical. Okay, so once again, why do I not debate flat Earth? Because I realize that understanding our cosmology above, everything that's going on above, is an epistemological limit. And I've said this very thing literally for years now. I don't mean to keep saying this, but I have to put this forward to be, hey, we've been completely consistent about what's going on upstairs. I've said that as soon as the higher and higher you go up into the metaphysical, literally meaning beyond the physical, that's what metaphysical means. Here's your physical Earth right here, the things we can touch and taste and smell and morph and change and investigate and that sort of stuff. And then there's everything that you can't. So when you go to try to explain what's going on upstairs, unless you can actually go and physically touch it and figure out if it's a ball, then this is what it's doing and this is how it functions, you're never going to know. And I've been saying this for a long time. Why? Because of epistemology. What is epistemology? When epistemology is the theory of knowledge, especially with regarding to its methods, validity, and scope. Epistemology is the investigation of what distinguishes justified belief of an opinion. It's the branch of philosophy that investigates the nature and scope and limits of knowledge. So us Gnostics, we recognize that there's things that you can't know. This is what we've been saying for a while. In fact, the whole point of philosophy, the whole point of your experience, the whole point of the scientific method is to figure out the things that you can absolutely do science on and the things you can't. And what we're saying is, up there ain't much you can say about it. And this is not a cope. This is not a cop-out. This is like, you're running away from the truth. No, I've been saying this a long time. You can't know. You can't go and touch the moon, figure out what it is, where it is, how it functions, what's inside of it, which means what can you actually say about it? Not much. What science can you actually do? Not much. So what we're going to do today is teach you guys how to think properly about your cosmology from everything that you experience. Okay? So Gnostics we are confident in what we don't know because we realize it's not because we're ignorant and we're just a bunch of dumbasses. No, we've investigated and we realize, oh shit, there's a dome in your mind. There's a barrier. It's almost like a firmament, right? And it's an epistemological firmament is what it is. And you realize as soon as you get here and you start cracking your head on the top of that, you realize that everything that's outside of that you can't possibly understand. You can't possibly know. Why? Because you can't actually do any science on it. You can't figure out where it is, what it is, how it functions, what's inside of it. Is it spherical? Is it a disc? Nothing. You can't do any of that. So what can you possibly actually say about those things? Not much. Not much. Part of Gnosis, and we've said this, I've passionately said it for years, is about knowing what you can know and what you can't know and making the distinguishing line between those. Okay? Guess what you can know about everything up there? Not much. And that's just honest. And I've been saying it, I'll say it again, for a long time. I also said this, knowing what's true and what you can and can't know allows you to call out the bullshit while it's happening and before it happens. This is why if those guys would have came to me and said, hey Marty, we want you to come with us to Antarctica, I would have said all of this before we left. I would have made sure, I would have said, Austin, Jaron, sit the fuck down. This is what we're going to tell these people. Why? Because, not because it's a cop-out, not because it's a cope, not because you want to make excuses. It's because what Marty's been talking about since 2017. Let me fucking say it again. That is not physical. So I would have said, because this is what I assume this whole thing to be. This is a setup. And this is why I didn't say anything about it. And we'll go into this further, but this is why I didn't say anything about it. And this is why I was like, I'm not going to get any attention. I'm not going to, feed the fuel to the fire or anything like that. I'm not going to go to Jaren's channel and be like, well, this blah, 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 blah. If you would have asked me, though, this live stream is exactly what I would have told both of you guys. This is bullshit. They're setting you up to fail. There probably is a 24-hour sun, and they're setting up the parameters so that if you go down there, it's going to make all the flat earthers look retarded. That's what, now it doesn't, I mean, they were going to do this anyway, right? So it doesn't really matter. So I have no fault that Austin and Jaren went. I mean, why would anybody fault them for going? It's like, besides the fact that you don't trust the people that are putting it on, but we could have taken care of that. We could have said before, like, hey, guess what? You're assuming a bunch of stuff about our cosmology. Jaren and Austin did the same thing, and that was wrong in the first place. So this is me. And I have a video, and this is why I said since 2017, of me in Eugene, Oregon saying this. Now from Eugene, Oregon, my wife and I moved to Hawaii, and this is the clip that you'll see of me saying this exact same thing in Hawaii. Then we moved to Wisconsin, and I've got clips of me saying in Wisconsin, and now we're in Missouri, and guess what? I've maintained the exact same thing. Upstairs is spirit. Downstairs is matter. This is not, when the globies think of everything, it's all material. And that's the problem. Austin and Jaren essentially did the same thing going down there. They assumed that thing was physical. This is me in Hawaii explaining exactly what I'm going to tell you guys today. I warn people about when they get into flat earth that one of the biggest problems that people have is they've been force-fed this heliocentric cosmology their entire life, right? The Earth is a ball. We're the third planet from the sun. We're in a solar system. It's it's in a galaxy, and there's many solar systems and many galaxies, and it's infinite space, and it's blackness, and everything's fucking billions of miles away and light years away and everything like that, all that sort of stuff, right? We've been taught that. And when people approach the flat Earth subject, one of the biggest issues that they have is they try to take everything that they were taught all those years, mistaught, right? And they try to force fit it into this new cosmology that they don't understand. And this is a huge problem. And this is what I've seen with most people. You go to the comment section, they reply to something. It's like, well, I have yet to hear a flat earther explain this or this and this and stuff like that. And you can already tell the problem that they're having is that, well, they've been force-fed a bunch of bullshit their entire life. And they're taking that bullshit and they're trying to, make it fit into this new paradigm and this new model that they don't understand. And so the first thing, and this is what is so important about understanding fundamentals. We're talking about spirit and matter are fundamentals. Where you are is a place of spirit and matter, that you are a material vehicle and that you have spirit within you, right? And this is exactly how we experience our creation. And it's so important to understand this. The material world is everything that you can touch and taste and feel and manipulate with your two hands. You can measure it. I can go out to that tree. I can cut that tree down. I can cut it in pieces. I can measure those. I can craft it. I can mold it. I can do all these things with the material plane, right? Everything in the material plane is that which passes away. It's transient. It's fleeting. It dies, right? It's impermanent, right? The spiritual world, on the other hand, is permanent. It's something that never dies away, will always be there, and is ethereal, right? It's basically incorporeal. So if I go down into the beach right now, right, and I look out at the ocean right now, I can say, hey man, that ocean, that horizon line that I create with my very own eyes, right? That horizon line is actually the distinguishing point between the spiritual and the material. So when we look up at the heavens, this is the problem that what most heliocentrists have in understanding the flat earth model. Most flat earthers, I think, would in general agree with this. What you're looking at is the spiritual realms. That's immaterial. That's not a material object. You say, well, what's the shape of the sun? I'm not saying the sun has a shape other than it appears to us as circular. It appears to us as spherical. But as far as we know, everything up in the heavens is spiritual. It's immaterial. It's not corporeal. And so many people have such a difficult time with understanding that. But that is the world that you experience. You can't touch the sun. We're never going to land on the moon, and we haven't landed on the moon. We don't have fucking rovers on Mars, and there isn't a satellite out to Pluto, right? You can't touch the sun. You can't touch the moon. You can't touch the stars. Right? We don't know what those things are. They're not objects. For all intents and purposes, all of that shit is metaphysical. It's beyond the physical. So this was me in Hawaii saying this, okay? Astrophysics is not a thing. Astrophysics is as much, magic as anything. Because what is it assuming? That those things are physical. How does a physical sun stay lit? Well, they have the explanation, it's gas and stuff, like, prove that. The only way to prove it is to actually create a model of that sun in which it does that, and it just stays lit and it's just constantly going through the hydrogen, blah, 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 blah. Make a model of that. Then we could say, okay, well, they made a model of it. Has science ever made a model of the sun? Now we're going to actually talk about, has science, quote unquote science, ever made an actual model of the globe Earth? No, they haven't. And we'll talk about it. So astrophysics, those things aren't physical. Natural science, the science of principles operative in organic nature, natural science. We can't do any natural science on that. We can't say if that's organic material at all. In fact, as we're saying, that's metaphysical. No one's been up there to touch it. This is one of the reasons that they have the space programs, so that they can convince you that's material. We landed on the moon. Don't you remember? They played some golf and drove some cars around, and it was freaking, what's his name? Buzz Aldrin up there going hippity hoppity, hippity hoppity. So when one engages in the subjects of astronomy, horology, even mathematics itself, do you know what those subjects are? They're metaphysical. They're supernatural. This is exactly what we say about mathematics. These guys use math as the foundation to explain their, astrophysics and stuff like that that's not physical. And yet they have no idea that the very medium that they're using is a metaphysical medium. It's supernatural. Is there a number 7 anywhere? No, there's no physical number 7, but you're using this metaphysical conceptual whatever idea that's the same in everybody's head to explain your cosmology. How does that work? Where did these numbers come from? Why are they ordered? Why do they have particular characteristics? Why do they operate and interact with other numbers in weird ways? Why is there even an order to them? How do they go on infinitely? Do you know that entire subject is metaphysical? Not one globe even acknowledges it, not even concedes it. They'll make every excuse in the world to be like, well, what is the fucking medium, this language that we're using to explain the world? It's called math and numbers. Where the fuck does that come from? Nothing. They don't have anything for that. What's our explanation? Well, there's a creator. That creator's extremely intelligent and has created this stuff for us, just like all the advanced civilizations knew. One of the reasons that I didn't pay any attention to this is because of what Jaron had said originally. Jaron, as soon as I heard Jaron say this, I was like, okay, I'm done. I'm not listening to this at all. As soon as I heard that Jaron was going and that Jaron said this, not this particular here, what I'm about to say, I immediately shut it off. I was like, okay, well, that's a terrible position to take before you ever go down to Australia or Antarctica, excuse me. And the position was this. There was a guy that said, hey, Jaron, the sun could be doing a million different things. And this guy said this, and Jaron trashed this guy. He made a community post. He did a video on him saying that, no, it has to be this way. We've all went and agreed on this model. By the way, no, we haven't. There's that. But he was trashing this guy saying, well, the sun could be doing a million different things. We would have to say that's true, considering we don't even know what the fucking sun is, dude. Jaron, you were yelling at this guy, screaming at him, calling him basically a fucking retard because the guy was saying, well, if that's not physical, then it could be doing a million different things. And you trash this guy saying, no, it has to be this thing. Well, that was a false pretense or a false understanding of before you even went. That wasn't doing science. It's got to be A or B. It has to be this model. That's what Jaron went with. As soon as I heard that, I was like, that's a mistake. That's a mistake. No one called Marty Leeds, though. No one said, hey, Marty, have you had a different perspective on this? Yes, it's the perspective we've been sharing for years. So as soon as I heard that, I was like, that's terrible, Jaron. Why would you say that? Oh, it has to be this way. So immediately, as soon as I heard that, I was like, that's a mistake. They should not be going down with that on their minds. That's what he did. So then he went down there, saw the thing, and then he's actually basically agreeing to a globe model. And we're going to see the problem with that. You and me both. I wish I had all the answers. We definitely see too far. So he's admitting that, hey, guess what? Doesn't match their actual geometry, the actual science that we can do, about our plane of the Earth. None of that matches. Okay, well, then that's over. That's over. You can't, continue to fucking finagle the science. Refraction! That's why we see 275 miles away. What? So we just can't explain the sun. Good. Now we know it's back to the drawing board. Great. Okay. And then he goes in to say, it does appear the data matches the globe and talks about the globe model. Austin said this. Flat earthers say this. Jaron's saying it. I've heard Dave Weiss talk about the globe model. All these flat earthers. What we're going to learn today is you guys need to stop saying that. Stop giving them the notion that they have a model. As we'll learn today, they don't. Not even close. Flat earthers do have a model of the earth. Do we have a model of the heavens? Not yet. Not yet. Chances are we probably won't have one either, and neither will the globies. But so when those guys went down, and this is what we'll learn today, those guys went down, they went down with, I think one of the guys, I don't even know, one of the ladies from Kingdom of Context or whatever, which is like he does, that guy, he's pretty big channel, I believe. He does, a lot of like Bible study and things like that, right? So they went down with, I think one of the people that are associated with that or something like that. And we all know that the Bible itself basically is like nothing about a spinning ball and endless galaxies and freaking, all those lights are suns and everything's revolving. There's nothing about that, right? Basically, what does there's allegedly 200 verses that basically allude at least to the fact that this is pretty flat, stationary, that there's a firmament, some sort of expanse, some sort of dome, something like that. Nothing about a solar system model whatsoever, right? So, and if we actually read the Bible, it actually tells you is specifically about what I'm going to explain to you today. And once again, I'm going to toot my own horn here, since I've been saying for almost 8 years now. Okay, what is upstairs? It's not physical. It doesn't have a physicality to it. The Bible tells you this. But God giveth it a body, and it hath pleased him. To every seed his own body. All flesh is not the same flesh. In other words, the quote-unquote materiality, just like when we say that the Son has a body, just like when we call God the Father, is he really some dude that has a beard and a big penis? No, that's metaphoric language. So when we say the body of the Son, or it's a celestial body, that's metaphoric language. This is what the Bible's saying right here when it says flesh. Flesh is not the same flesh. In other words, the flesh down here, the material realm, and everything up there is not the same. Why would you assume it would be? Jaron, Austin, everybody that went down there, as far as I could tell, correct me if I'm wrong, I'll apologize if I am, but they went under the assumption that those were physical bodies. Several of those people are biblical. They're dedicated to the Bible. The Bible tells you that's not the case at all. And guess what? We're going to find this in Genesis 1. The first line of the Bible tells you about your cosmology, guys. You should have been listening to Gnostic Academy. I'll say it again. All flesh is not the same flesh, but there is one kind of flesh of men, another flesh of beasts, another of fishes, and another of birds. Then he goes on to say this. There are also celestial bodies and bodies terrestrial, but the glory of the celestial is one, and the glory of the terrestrial is another. There is one glory of the sun and one glory of the moon and another glory of the stars, but one star different from another in glory, which is obviously, recognize that one's more prominent and that sort of stuff. But all flesh is not the same flesh. There's celestial bodies, stuff that's upstairs, and bodies terrestrial. We have borne the image of the earthy. We shall also bear the image of the heavenly. Now this I say, brethren, that flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of God. Neither doth corruption inherit incorruption. Corruption down here on earth, incorruption upstairs in the heavens. The spiritual upstairs, the material down here. They say specifically, it says specifically there, right? It says what? Now this I say, brethren, that flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of God. You, in a flesh and blood vehicle, cannot actually enter up there and go up into the heavens and maintain and sit around and that sort of stuff. That's not what it is. Flesh and blood cannot go up and inherit, can't even go up there. This is Genesis 1:1. Once again, I've been saying this since we lived in Eugene, Oregon. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. In sacred geometrical study, those two terms, heaven and earth, have been given, geometric corollaries, right? So the heaven is a circle and the earth is a square. How many times have we talked about this? Those things have specific parameters, specific qualities, and they're necessary to understand in order for you to properly understand your cosmology. By the way, this is why the good book gives it to you in the very first line. It's the very first line of the book. Upstairs, spiritual, not material. Downstairs, material. In the beginning, God created the spirit and the matter. And this is now, once again, 1 Corinthians 15:50. You cannot go up in a earthly, fleshly vehicle. That's not how it works. So when we look at our creation and we look out of the horizon, everything above is what? Metaphysical. It's the unknown. It's the incorruptible. It's incorporeal. It's celestial. It's spiritual. It's spirit. It doesn't have a physicality. And I'll show you this, and I'll show you ways to even explain what you're seeing. Heaven is a circle, earth is a square. Why is it given the distinctions of heaven and earth as a circle and a square? Do you know what you can't do? You can't actually 100% find the area of a circle, nor its circumference. You can't do it. This is the pie guy telling you can't do it. Why can you not do it? This is something we've discussed before. Why is the circle given to the heavens, the distinction of the heavens, as metaphysical, unknown, incorruptible, incorporeal? Why is it? Because you can't actually find the area or the circumference totally of the circle. Why? Because of pi. You have to abbreviate and approximate, which means you can come close, but can you actually find it? No, you cannot. You cannot. That's one of the mysteries of pi, in fact. So these are the parameters in which the Creator has given us to understand our creation. Now, when those guys went down there, did they understand this? No, they did not. And this comes from Kingdom of Context. Witsit gets it. Jaron, this is looking at you guys. You guys didn't understand this when you went down, as far as I could tell, and so therefore you assumed you were going to see something, and you didn't see it, and then you said, well, no, it's got to be this physical sun. By the way, this notion of the circle and the square, this entire thing that I'm talking about, as we'll see, I did essentially this presentation at Flattoberfest. I did it on stage with a bunch of flat earthers, in an audience of a bunch of flat earthers, and this is what I talked about. This is specifically what I talked about. Upstairs, spiritual, it's a circle. Heaven, that's the circle, heaven. Downstairs, that's the earth, that's a square. You'll find this in cultures around the world. Every time you see a mandala, do you know what that is? It's a representation of the cosmology that you actually experience. Upstairs, metaphysical. Downstairs, physical. This is, of course, the Nuwan Fuchi. This is what, and by the way, this is what's so funny. Let me just say this. Let me go back to here. We'll go back to this. So this is, once again, the Vitruvian Man, the circle and the square. Of course, you see the compasses and square. This is what this references. Then, of course, then we have the Buddha Stupa. It's a square earth and a domed heaven. That's exactly how it's built. The Buddha Stupa has the same parameters as a mandala, has the same, basically, functions, that sort of stuff, as any of these other things. There's Nuwan Fuchi. What are they holding? Compasses and square. What is it referencing? They're the merging of heaven and earth. It's the merging of spirit and matter. All of these cultures across the world had the exact same, in other words, all these cultures across the world had the exact same explanations for their cosmology, and it's the exact same one that I'm telling you today. Do you know what's so funny about this is, do you know where I learned this? I learned it from that. One of the ways I came to understand this and why I've been teaching it for so long is because I've learned the basics of our cosmology, exactly how we experience it, from the compasses and square. The compass points up and tells you about the circle and says, guess what? That's the unknown. It's the incorporeal. It's the spiritual. And down here is the material. That's what you can know. It's so hilarious that I came to this understanding long before apparently these guys even considered it or totally understood that. And these guys are always bashing on Freemasonry, as we said. And do you know what the thing that taught me about it? That, guys, that. So maybe you should rethink that too. Come on over to the Gnostic Academy. We'll do some teaching. So, as we know, well, it must be a globe. Well, as we know, cultures across the world gave us in fact, I'm just doing this, it's basically like a children's movie kind of thing. And it's the Cherokee Story of Creation. I actually hope to put it out next week. In the Cherokee Story of Creation, do you know what they said? Do you know how they explained the earth? Exactly how I would explain the earth. It's flat. It's got essentially its four corners or four directions, northeast, west, and south. As far as we could tell, there's some sort of firmament dome, sort of crystalline sort of structure, whatever it is, that goes over top. And it's flat. Right. That's how our culture or our cosmology is understood around the world. Okay. Now they also understood in most of these, they would even tell you straight up, well, there's the sky and then there's the earth. There's the spirit and then there's the matter. There's the upstairs, the above world, and the below world down here on earth. And those are two separate things. This is I've literally showed this. We did this with the Ojibwe, then we went to the Cherokee, and then we went to the Egyptians, and then we went to the Buddhist, and then we went, then all the mandalas, and then we, the Chinese. I just keep showing this, trying to get this understanding in people's head. So, What do we mean by not physical? That's what we mean by not physical. How in the world do you see atmosphere or sky behind? Wait, it's got to be physical. It has to be physical in the space in the sky, and it's got to be exactly right there, and it does this. That's not the case at all. As far as we could tell, this is more holographic, if you will. That's another word. It's a word that probably fails in truly understanding it. But as I'm going to say, and as I've said, you're not going to understand it. That's the unknown, son. That's what it is. Do you know what we can understand this stuff as, though? We can understand it symbolically. Now, why do you think I've been teaching this specifically, the symbolism of the heavenly bodies, for 3 years now? And I've been talking about spirit and matter for 7 or whatever it's been. And I never go on and I never try to debate the physicality of what that stuff is. Do you know why? Just like Austin does. And I've got no problem that he does that, whatever, that's fine. But that is, I would say that that's it's not going to get you anywhere. Because you're trying to explain a bunch of stuff that you can't explain. How in the fuck do you see the sky behind that physical thing? How about stars behind the moon?
Hi, Blue Fox here. On September 27th, 2015, I took pictures of the eclipse of the moon. I set up my 5-inch telescope using a 17mm eyepiece and took these snapshots. You will notice in the pictures, stars show through the dark portions of the moon. And as I go through them, I'll blow them up a little larger so you can see these stars. I'll point to one. There's a blue star here, a white star. There's another star right here that shows up quite good. And that's that picture. Move on to the next one. You can actually see the stars here. Now we'll zoom in and we'll see a red star with a white star right in here. And then there's 3 stars, a white star, a blue star, and another blue star. And there's a white star pretty much over here.
So once again, when we say it's like, no, those things are not physical. Now, what's so funny is that when I played that video before, I assumed, and this was wrong on my part, I assumed that most flat earthers understood this. And yet when Jaron and Austin and everybody that was down there and saying that there must be a 24-hour sun, what were they doing? They were saying it's physical, it's got some specific place in the sky, all the light is generated from that thing, it can only be this one way, and then they found out, well, that's not the case. I could have told you that before you left. Should have called me. So, and I thought people understood this. So when we went and looked, so the eclipse, a couple months ago, whatever, the eclipse came right through Missouri here. And so we went and watched it and things like that. And do you know what I said? I literally said, I was like, I watched that thing. Doesn't seem like it's the moon moving over that thing at all. You didn't see the moon at all in the sky going up to the sun, even though you do see the moon during the day, all sorts of time. I didn't see that at all. I was watching it the entire time. We were having drinks and all this other stuff. Then I watched this thing. I watched it with the glasses on. I watched the entire time. And you know what I said after the whole thing was done? I don't have a fucking clue what I was looking at. Not a clue. Couldn't even begin to explain it. Couldn't tell you about the mechanics of it. Couldn't tell you how far away it is. Couldn't tell you what that object is that came in front of it. Nothing. I'm just honest. That's not a cope. That's not like, well, you did. No. So, meanwhile, while we watched the eclipse and watched this whole thing happen, this is what NASA is showing the eclipse to be. This is what ball earthers say is that's the actual video that they show you for the eclipse. Now, us flat earthers know, let me show this again. Us flat earthers know that if you have the consciousness or the intelligence of thinking that that's real, then what else there's nothing more we need to discuss. That'll be a theme moving forward here today. There's nothing more that we have to discuss. If you look at that and be like, that's totally real. I'm like, okay, cool. Well, it's good day. Love you. Wish you all the best. But there's we can't like hold hands and walk down the road and start talking philosophy and theology or anything like that. That shit's over. If you look at that and you're like, that's legit, there's nothing more to say. Okay? So, now, here is, once again, this was me in Hawaii saying this, almost passionately screaming it into a camera once again, that guess what, guys? You ain't gonna fucking know what goes on up there. You could try all you want. And I encourage people to do it if that's what you want to do. If that's what, like, wets your whistle and, you know, sparks your fire and all that other stuff. If you want to try to create a model where everything, please do. I'm all for it. But at the end of the day, do you know what? I think ultimately we're gonna have to say, I don't know. So this is me talking about the eclipse in Hawaii. Now, listen exactly what I have to say. So these come from this video. This is a clip from his film, and this basically shows the solar eclipse here, right? And it's like, oh, okay, well, the solar eclipse, the moon is passing in front of the sun. Okay, cool. So that seems logical, seems rational, seems like that's what's going on, right? We got two luminaries. One's really far away, one's pretty close. They seem the same size in the sky. But then you actually look at the footage of this eclipse, and you take it into the, you know, whatever Photoshop or, you know, any of these sort of programs. There is no moon that's passing over the sun. And you can do this. I mean, you can just mess with the levels and see that, even though it's supposed to be, this is what they're telling us, and of course our bullshit nonsensical cosmology, that the moon is passing over the sun. But once again, if you actually look at and mess with the levels and stuff like that, I mean, there's nothing there. There is no moon that's passing over the sun. So what's happening in our skies? What's happening? You know, he basically says in the film, which is as good as answer as any, that the sun is eating itself. Fucking might as well be. I mean, who knows, right? In the heavens above, in the canopy of the heavens above, in the kingdom of heaven above, all of that stuff is immaterial. It's incorporeal. It's not an object, right? This is the moon. So this is the moon almost at new moon, right? Just breaching new moon. Basically what happens is the closer and closer you get to the cycle of the new moon, basically the moon disappears. It's like there's nothing there. Basically the moon, as it gets closer to the sun, if you will, sort of like powers down till it gets to a point where it's invisible. So once again, when we say that all of this stuff is immaterial, I've been saying this for, you guys should understand that. Do not try to make a model of some physical thing over a physical earth that does specific things. And as we're going to show, we'll show a model today that actually takes a completely different approach to this, and then actually does sort of at least mimic what we do see in the sky. So, and what is he basing his, as we'll show today, what is he basing his model on? Those things not being physical. Should have listened to Marty. I'm just kidding. These are just jokes. Everybody just calm down. I'm not some egomaniac or anything. And I actually don't care about being right. I care about finding out what's right. That's what I care about. So these are the star. This is what a star looks like to, this is what we're told that a star, that's the sun, and the sun is a star, just like all the rest of them, of course, in the helio nonsensical model. That's what they say a star looks like. Now we know, what do stars actually look like? This. Once again, does that look physical? Now, it's just an appearance. It's just an observation. Does that look like you can go and land on that thing, drive a fucking rover around it? Once again, it's just speculation. We have no idea. Can you fly up there and actually land on that thing to prove it? Okay, so no one's doing that. Of course, we don't believe NASA is. And of course, we'll show a video of all the NASA bullshit or whatever. But once again, what does that look like? It looks like it's spiritual, doesn't it? Yeah. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. This is, I remember when, I think it was like Crow or 777 or something like that, had shown this video or a video like this and said there's two suns in the sky. And he was presenting that and was just absolutely affirmed it and stuff like that. As soon as I heard that, I was like, oh, Crow doesn't understand his cosmology. So here's two suns in the sky. Are there actually two suns in the sky? Well, that's what it appears, right? That's what we're seeing, right? So there must be. Now, as you can see, I'll let this play, but you can actually see one's like burning and then one looks like it's a reflection. So is this actually two suns, or is it some optical phenomenon? Well, guess what? We can't say either way. We can't say either way. I would bet, though, that whatever it is, considering that the sun itself is probably some sort of optic phenomenon that we don't understand, and we could admit we don't understand, then we would say that that second sun that we're seeing is probably an optical phenomenon too, as opposed to saying, no, we've got proof because we saw some shit that there's two suns. So as soon as I heard that, I was like, oh, whoever's making that claim, there's two suns in the sky. You don't have a fucking clue what you're talking about. I've got no problem saying because they're not friends with me, so I don't care. Whatever, doesn't matter. So, what's that? What's going on there? I don't know. I couldn't even tell you if that's actually where that sun is. I can't even tell you if that's circular. It appears circular. Is it really? We'll get into that too. So, this is Dave. This is from Dave's channel, and this was like a video, I think it was like 2 years ago or something like that. And what he's doing is, here, let's start this again. What he's doing is shining a light over a dome, and it's like a flashlight. And of course, the light appears specifically on that dome right there. If that's the, and as, notice, no, let's play this again. Notice what he says here. It says, as the true sun approaches, it brings its light, and we see its apparent position in our personal sky. Does that light right there that's going across that dome, is that the actual physical sun? Let's play it again. Is that light right there, that once we put ourselves inside that dome and we see that light, just as it's going across the sky right there, is that actually the light? No. Can we model that hey, when we talk about the sun, that this is something like we're seeing? Yeah. Is that what's going on? I have no idea. And as we're going to see, talk about today, you can't know. So there's the sun. The apparent sun moves across the sky sheet. Apparent. What does apparent mean? We'll get that in a second. So once again, you remove the physicality. Next thing you know, you've got, as Jaron was yelling at the guy saying, there's a million explanations that we could have for this. There could be a million different things that could be. And guess what? Do we have any true science to actually even figure out, where's the sun? The sun is right there. I'm pointing it right there. That's from my perspective. And then you go over and then you point here. And then that's from my... So where is the sun in the sky? Or is it apparent depending on the person's perspective? Okay. So there's that. But beyond that, what does apparent mean? As Dave said it twice, seeming real or true, but not necessarily so. When he says apparent, he's not, it's clearly visible, obvious, understood, it's right there. No, he's actually showing experiments to show you that no, it's an apparent sun. Seeming real or true, but not necessarily so. That not necessarily so part, we can't know. In order for us to absolutely affirm, confirm with scientific proof, we would have to go up and touch that thing, figure out what it is, what's the functionality, what's inside it, how big is it, how far away is it. That's science. So when we view the moon, once again, we talk about the non-physicality thing. There's Grandma. There's Grandma. Total badass Grandma is. She thinks the earth is flat too. Where all these different places on the earth that you see the moon, but you only see the one side of the moon. Yet, of course, even flat earthers and globe earthers say that that's some sort of physical sphere. There's some globe or flat earthers that think that, right? Well, it appears a sphere, but yet everywhere you go on the earth, you see it sometimes upside down, sometimes right side up. You never see, like, if it's a three-dimensional sphere, then you should be able to see, like, on certain areas of the earth, like the back side of it or part of the, the side of it. That's what you should see. We don't see that at all, though. So what is it? Holographic? Explain that. Well, guess what? I'm going to tell you. We can't. And I've been saying that for a very long time. How far away is this mountain? Well, if we're on the flat stationary Earth and it's material, guess what we could do? We could grab a tape measure or link the tape or whatever, and we could put it at one side and we could measure all the way to the distance of that mountain. Then we could climb that mountain and we could caress its craggy peaks and all this other shit and find out, hey, it's this tall. Can you do that with the sun? Can you do it with the moon? Okay, so when we now stick the moon back there, how far away is the moon? How far away is the sun? Can you determine that at all? No, you can't. Why? Because it's in the metaphysical. Physical, you can. So when I say this, this is the actual, this is the heavens transcend every bit of our common sense, meaning the sense that we have down here isn't to say that we don't experience the sun and the moon the same. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that the science that we can do up there, collectively, we have to say, we can do none. Unless you believe in the NASA and ESA and shit like that. But even then, you have to capitulate to their authority, which is a logical fallacy, by the way. You just have to believe what they have to say. Simon Dan and Professor Dave and Dave McKeegan and MC Toon and Fight the Flat Earth and all the flat earthers, they are not even flat earthers. All of these people are proclaiming science, and yet none of the science that they're proclaiming, they physically themselves can verify at all. Not one of them. They're saying the sun is this thing, it's physical, it's right there, this is how it works. They can't prove any of that. We're just admitting that. At least this flat earther is. I don't know about the rest of the flat earthers. Yet again, one of the reasons I said the Earth being geometrically flat is not enough for me to be like, hey, we're buddies now. Oh, this guy has so much in common with me because we both think this. That's just not the case. Because as I've come to find, globe earthers, flat earthers, there's a lot of douchebags out there. Let's just be real, okay? So, as we know, the moon, and there's been many experiments to find this, and this is something you can experiment because you're on the flat plane. The moon is cold. How does that work? It's a non-physical thing that's either a sphere or a disk. We don't know where it is. We don't know what it is, but somehow it emanates cold light. What?
I'm going to go ahead and test the rock first. 65.3. Now let's measure the temperature of the rock that's not being hit by the sun or by the moonlight. So directly the back of the rock, opposite side, opposite end, and we've got 65.8.
So there is a just straight up, you're going to take a heat, thermometer kind of thing, go to one side, it's cold. On the opposite, just like if it was in the shadow, and it's warmer in the shadow because the moonlight is cold. Now, of course, there's been many experiments to show this is absolutely the case. Now, the globe earthers, they just deny that and ignore that because they're never going to concede. They're never going to admit to any of that sort of stuff. But what does that say to you? Can you explain that? Can you explain how the moon emits cold light and we don't even know if it's a real thing or an object? No. I've been saying you can't explain that for a long time. You could try. You spend your whole life trying. But I'm saying that there's an epistemological limit as to what we can know here. Is that a hologram? Is it holographic?
Let me show you something I find completely magical. Behind this piece of glass, there appears to be a three-dimensional scene. You can move around your head and you see the light play off of the objects in different ways. For example, that glass Klein bottle in the front warps what's behind it. But it's an illusion. In reality, all that's there is an empty table and a diverging laser beam shining on the glass. Inside that glass is a single piece of film that's been exposed in a very special way that records the entire three-dimensional scene. It's hard to capture in a video how surreal this feels in person, because despite there being nothing behind that glass, every visual cue available is screaming to your brain that something really is there.
It's like magic. It's like he's literally in front of the thing. He's like reaching back, like I can't see it. Every visual cue says that thing is there. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's metaphysical. Maybe what we're seeing up there is holographic, just like that hologram, and it's stumping everybody, just like it stumped that guy. What the fuck? Wait, no, there must be a physical thing. Every visual cue is saying it's there. Is it there? Let me just tell you this. This isn't some stupid flat earther that doesn't know what he's talking about, exclaiming that upstairs is spiritual, metaphysical, and this down here is material. It's every advanced civilization that understood that the earth was flat and actually came to understand their cosmology and understand philosophically and scientifically what they can know and what they can't know. All I've said this entire time is exactly that. So, when they go down and they see the sun going in the opposite direction and whatever, and it's never sets you mean to tell me, considering, just as we'll see Will Duffy say, moving forward, considering that we don't even know what the sun is, if there's a firmament, how any of this stuff actually works, we can't actually do any science, do we have to fully admit, as true, just honest people, scientifically minded people, what we can prove, what we can't prove, do we have to admit that we have to say there's a shitload that we don't know? That once you get beyond the Tropic of Capricorn and the Tropic of Cancer, if you will, that the pathway of the sun, that there aren't some visual anomalies that happen? That the sun doesn't, considering we don't even know where it is or what it's doing, that it reflects differently off the dome. When you get outside of the parameters, or if you will, the causeway of the sun, that there isn't some sort of magnetic phenomenon that flips things. Do magnets flip things? Yes, right? So there's a North Pole or the North Pole and a South Pole and that sort of stuff, and we realize that magnetism does flip things. So does that mean that when we're outside of this, that we see things upside down, they go different directions? Is that out of the realm of possibility? Once again, if you say no, just stop. Just don't even show up at this church claiming you're doing science. Yell at me, call me a fucking idiot, stupid flat earther, explain this. I'll be the one to tell you I can't explain any of it. I would have made that absolutely crystalline clear before I ever stepped aboard a plane and went down to do some experiment, which is not an experiment. All you're doing is looking at shit in the sky. Explain this, flat earthers. Explain any of it. Forget it. The higher and higher, and this is what we've said, once you go scientifically, in your actual knowing, if you will, the higher and higher that you go up from this dimensional plane, the less and less you can say. Once again, we've been saying that for a while. The higher and higher you go up from the material dimension, the less and less. It's 1 point, and then it's 2 points, and it's a square, and then it becomes a cube, and then it's like there's a fourth dimension, what is that? It's basically that's basically a ball. You see that right there? That right there is basically a ball. Let's go back. That's like this thing right here is circular. What? Is that how it appears? What can you say about that? Not much. You lose the ability to say anything as the higher and higher you ascend. Now, what's so funny is that when we say, hey, that's an apparent sun, that could be another light source that's shining down. That singular light source from different positions on the earth could look completely different depending on a bunch of phenomena that we don't understand, right? Now, of course, Globers would come by and say, well, no, that's bullshit. You're just making excuses, copism or copium, shit like that. These are the exact same people that tell you that a light can be a wave and a particle. These are the exact same people. So us flat earthers are saying, we can't understand that. We have no mechanism or no way to scientifically understand it. It could be doing a million different things, even though Jaron is going to yell at us for saying that. A million different things. And you're not going to accept that, but you will tell us without even a wince whatsoever that a light can be a wave and a particle. Fucking what? What? So you're telling us that a single phenomenon can be viewed in two different ways. That's what I'm not saying I even agree with this, but that's the science that you're giving to us. So if we just take that science and throw it right back at you, you say, no, can't be. By the way, it's not a wave or a particle. It's the Jews. Okay. So in quantum mechanics, replace particle with sun. In quantum mechanics, a sun isn't really a sun. Instead of being a hard, solid, precise point, a sun is really a cloud of fuzzy probabilities, with those probabilities describing where we might find the sun when we go to actually look for it. But until we actually perform a measurement on the sun, which is impossible, we can't actually know everything we would like to know about the sun. They can say all this stuff without any question whatsoever about quantum physics and present it to you like it's absolute fact, and you're just supposed to agree to that. And if we just say that right back to you about the sun, cope a little bit, do you? Hey, at least we can do proper fucking geometry and realize there ain't no curvature. So what about consciousness? Does our experience have something to do with how we see the sun? Well, we know it does, because depending on where we are and that sort of stuff. Is that thing linked to our consciousness in some way that does weird stuff that we don't understand? Considering, once again, we don't even know what consciousness is, nor do we know what the sun is. If somebody comes along and say, no, can't be, don't sit there and tell me you're doing science. Don't even come to my door and say the first syllable of psi, because I already know you're full of shit. You, as well as many other flat earthers, already made these parameters in which this is what has to be true. We're saying we can't even tell you how you experience that thing. Forget about the shape of the earth and what's upstairs. We can't even tell. Nobody can explain how you're even conscious of the world around you. Do you mean to tell me that since we can't explain that and we can't explain that they might not be linked? I mean, Jesus Christ. I thought we were better than this. By the way, I think they are. This is what firmament means. This is, once again, what we've been saying for a while. Firmament. Mend means mental. Firm means make firm, establish. So apparently, this firmament, according to the etymology, is securely fixed in our mind, which means that sort of thing, once again, is metaphysical, spiritual, that sort of stuff, and somehow it's related, it's directly related to what we experience, what we see, what we're conscious of. Can we explain that? No, I wouldn't even begin to try to. You're never going to come to the Gnostic Academy and have me, at least I'll say this right now, maybe things will change in the future, I don't know, but you're never going to come to this channel and be like, Marty, explain consciousness for me. I'd be like, No, how about we just stick with some math? How about we go let's find the seventh triangle or that. Marty, explain how the sun and moon work in the flat earth. I wouldn't even try. Before the 24-hour, I would have said exactly what I'm saying today. Why? Because I know what I can know and I know what I can't know. And you guys should be following this lead right here. So, why do you think why the Zodiac Man, when we talk about our consciousness is completely directly linked to what's going on upstairs? What do you think one of the philosophies or whatever the Zodiac Man is? All that stuff is literally placed on your body. Then you look at the word firmament and it says, God, somehow this is connected to our consciousness that we don't even understand the consciousness, nor the cosmology, nor can we. So, and by the way, the notion that our consciousness has something to do with how it appears to us, the apparent sun and the path of the sky, that our consciousness has something to do with it, this is exactly what Voltaire has said, St. Augustine has said it, of course, Hermes Mercurius Trismegistus said it, but God is a circle whose center everywhere and circumference nowhere. This notion of as above, so below, it's the Hermetic, of course, it's in the Hermetic corpus of the law of correspondence, that as above, so below, so within, so without, that our consciousness is directly connected to what we experience. Once again, are we going to be able to explain that? I don't come here and expect that. It's not going to happen. So I'm going to let you down right now. So when those guys went down to Antarctica, they had a faulty understanding of their cosmology. I would have cleared that up before you guys left. I'm just telling you. I'm not saying, this isn't me afterwards being like, oh, let's all play fucking clean up the mess now or some shit. No, I would have said all of the things I'm saying today before you guys even left. Did you guys go down there thinking you were going to find the end of the pot of gold, a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow too? I'm just kidding. I'm just joking around, by the way. I'm not actually being like a shit or anything. But once again, is that rainbow physical? Are you going to be able to go over to that area in the woods there, and then there's going to be a pot of gold at the end of that shit? No. You know why? Because that rainbow is not physical. Okay. How about this? Were you guys going to go down to Antarctica and discover the last digit of pi too? What I'm telling you, what I'm showing you guys is what you can know and what you can't know. Can you know the last digit of pi? No, you can't. It's an unknown. It's an epistemological limit. So you could do experiments to try to find the last digit of pi, and you should do that for the rest of your life if that wets your whistle and gets you jiving in the pants there. If that's what you feel like you should do, I'm gonna say that shit's a waste of time. Now let me just play this, and then we'll take a little break. This is Flattoberfest. This was, I think this is 2022. This is 2022 Flattoberfest, right? This is from the 2023 in Vegas. I didn't go. But this was, I'm going to show a clip here, okay? And this is me at Flattoberfest 2022 on stage where I gave a sermon, a lecture, whatever, exactly on what we're talking about today. And here I am on stage, and I'm sitting next to Dave Weiss, who's going to get a ton of shit, already is, for his silly little app and a flat earth and stuff like that. I'm on stage next to him, and I'm also on stage with Witsit Gets It, the guy that fucking went to Antarctica. And this is what I said to a room full of flat earthers on the same stage with some of the most prominent flat earthers in this whole community thing. Ready?
What's the weakest thing for
Yeah,
flat
I think
Earth?
you phrased it really well. What's the weakest argument or the thing that you just can't, you haven't had an adequate explanation yet?
Well, there's plenty of things we don't have an adequate explanation, like what is the moon, what is the sun, what are the stars, how far are they?
Sure.
I think there's something extremely humbling by looking up and saying that we don't know. Because we can't know what any of that stuff is. Science is all about the idea of going up and, you know, we'd have to be able to go to measure it, touch it, explore it, and you can't do that with any of these things. So I think Flat Earth actually brings you to a very humbling place by just saying we don't know, and it's okay not to know. So the Globies don't like that, though, you know, because they think they have the explanation for everything. So anything in the stars is a big question mark in my...
I just came up with a thought that probably no one has ever thought of, that the heavens are immeasurable and the earth is measurable.
If I may say, this is something that I hinted on, or I touched on in the talk here, is that the difference between the known and the unknown. So when a lot of people ask flat earthers, like, well, what about the eclipse and what are this? We can't possibly know. This is the difference between a theorem and a theory. A theory is an explanation for things, and a theorem is proof of those things. So even if we perfectly model the heavens above, right? Let's say we come up with a model that explains the southern star rotation and how everything works, it will still always be a theory until you can actually go up and touch those things and prove it. So this is the difference between, and this is the thing I always touched on when, you know, we have these arguments about what is, you know, well, we can prove what's here because we can measure things, we can touch them, that sort of thing. So we can find theorems here. Upstairs, I don't care who it is, it will always be a theory in my opinion.
And it...
So I don't know if I could be any more clear there. By the way, the woman that asked that question, by the way, she used, I saw that she made this comment, and she said when the whole Archaics thing happened, she was like, I used to listen to Marty, but now I listen to Archaics. I'm like, well, that was a stupid thing. Anyway, so I guess you shit the bed on that one, didn't you, lady? So anyway, so here I am on stage 2022 saying exactly what I'm saying today. That in order for us to actually go and do science, do you know what we would have to do? We would have to be able to step outside of the construct itself, of the flat stationary dome itself, and then look upon it and say, yep, there's the sun, there's the moon, there's what it's doing, or maybe it's not physical at all, as we're saying, oh, well, here's the light source that's shining down, and this is how it's spreading out, and when you go to the outer edge that's away from the north, there's a solar something that flips the thing, and blah, 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 blah. You know what we can't do? That. That's exactly what I was saying. In order to actually do any science, we have to release ourselves, go above the thing, look upon it, and say, yes, we can prove it. There it is. There's the dome. Can we do that? Can anyone do that? No. And I'm just honest about it. Okay? This gets to like Kurt Gödel's incompleteness theorem, right? Incommensurability theorems. Now, I'm not saying that this is Kurt Gödel's incommensurability theory. That's not what I'm saying, okay? But basically, the same idea you can kind of extract from this, generally speaking. And what I mean is this, that the incompleteness theorem, right, is sort of this, or what I'm going to say anyway, is this notion that in order for us, that when you are inside the system, right, let's do an analogy, you're inside a radio. You're inside, and you can see there's the cogs and the gears and the freaking wires, and there's the speaker, and blah, 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 that's what you hear inside. You're like, where does that shit coming from? I don't know, right? Can you possibly understand that you're in a radio until you actually stepped outside of it and be like, oh shit, there's the dials, and then there's the antenna, and that's where the thing goes, and then it's actually picking up something from somewhere here. Could you understand that at all? No, you can't. Just admit it. Just be honest. It's really important, especially in the eyes of God, that you're honest about this shit, guys. So you can't know. This same goes for our cosmology. Why do you think they have space organizations? so that they can say, yeah, we went outside of it and looked upon it and we've got pictures of the ball. Of course, all of us flat earthers know that's retarded. And we've made that very clear. So you can't know. And this is exactly what I said. Everything about upstairs will always be a theory. And I'm all about somebody coming up with a model. And if that model perfectly explains the southern star rotations, northern, how we see the sun, and actually somebody has, by the way, we'll show a little bit of this, but explain all of that. Do you know what I would say at the end? If you showed, oh, this is how Mercury does its retrograde motion, this is where the sun is, if you explained all of it and it was modeled it perfectly, do you know what I would still say? I'd say, hey, that's a pretty damn good model. I could get behind that a little bit, but I would still say, just as I said on that stage, it'll always be a theory. Do you mean to tell me, let's say this, hypothetical, flat earthers create the perfect model of Earth, perfectly, can map why there's tides, what the sun, the moon is doing, southern star rotations, eclipses, everything. They can map everything. And they make a perfect model of it. Do you know what you would still have to say? A model that predicts everything perfectly. Do you know what you would still have to say? That it could be done a different way. Why? Because do you mean to tell me that there's only one way that God could have created it? Are you limiting the creator's intelligence, is what I'm asking. So even if we make a perfect model and we can stand outside and be like, look, all of this shit works. Can you ever actually stand outside the model and prove what you just made a model of? No, you can't. No, you can't. This is what you guys should be getting in your head when moving forward with Flat Earth. This is what you guys should be getting in your head. Okay? Because otherwise you're just lying to yourself. Okay. So we're going to move on. We probably got another hour or so. We're going to talk about the globe model and how, guess what? Spoiler alert, there is no globe model. And we'll go through it, okay? So first, this is the point in the sermon where we kindly ask you for your donations. We keep going by, your support and, the people that show up and buy books and all of that sort of stuff. That's how we keep this thing alive. So we really appreciate anybody that does want to support. And I will be continuing to grift my Flat Earth. It's fucking so dumb. So buy me a coffee, Cash App, Venmo, Subscribe Star. And of course we have Gnostic Academy 7781 County Road 3440 Mountain View, Missouri 65548. And of course you can donate via the website. There's a little tab on the website there and that sort of stuff. So we do have a new commercial for you guys. And this is called the Shawshank Collection Plate commercial. So I hope you guys enjoy.
Comes down to a simple choice, really. Get busy tithing, or get busy dying. Tithing to the Gnostic Academy is a good thing. Maybe the best of things. And no good thing ever dies.
Put your trust in the Lord. Your ass belongs to me.
Put your trust in the Lord. Your ass belongs to us, though. All right. Thank you all. Thanks to all the people that do support our tiny little church here and allow us to keep going. We really appreciate it. So we think that we provide a good service, and so we'd like to keep going. So thank you all. So thanks to all the gut bites. Okay. So let's move on. And so now we've really established the problem. The problem, what we have, is a complete misunderstanding of the experience that we have and how that experience is exactly the same as to everybody. That nothing above us is material. We've seen it with the sun. We've seen it with the stars. We've seen it with the moon. We can't go and touch any of those things. We can't do any actual science on it. So what's the difference here? So everybody that went down to Antarctica basically had the understanding that on the left, that the Earth is material and everything up there is material. The Venus, it's material bodies floating around the sun, material, moon, stars, everything material. Well, as we can see and actually show, and as far as we can tell, at least proof from our observations, if you can see through what's supposed to be a solid body, then I guess it's not solid. Huh. Okay, cool. So here's the fundamental problem that we have. And I think that those guys went down with that problem lodged directly in their head. And hence why, basically they ended up, for at least for some people, look like idiots. I don't think they're idiots at all. I would have had a huge problem going down under Will Duffy, but I don't fault them for going down at all. Why would anybody do that, right? So let's talk about this. Newsflash. So whenever flat earthers say, well, the globe model says this. Well, what they saw in the sky matches the globe model. You keep hearing this, right? Newsflash, globies don't have a model. And all of you flat earthers, listen to me. All of you flat earthers need to stop saying that. Stop saying those words. Stop conceding ever that they have a model, and I will explain what I mean. Anytime you get into an argument with a flat earth or a globe earther, right, or have some conversation, be annoying about it. Be annoying about it. You can come to me and learn. I'm really good at that shit. Be annoying about it. Being like, well, the globe model. Stop. You don't have a model. Well, the globe model says, stop. You do not have a model. There is no globe model. Let's explain. What is a model? A model is a three-dimensional representation. So when they went down, there were people that said, well, what they saw in the sky matches the globe model. No, it fucking doesn't. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Why? Because what is a model? A model is a three-dimensional representation of a person or a thing or a proposed structure, typically a smaller scale than the original. You're supposed to take the thing that you're talking about, this cosmology, you're going to bring the Earth down to a scale. And in that scale, it's a system or thing used as an example to follow or imitate. Which means when you bring this globe Earth down to a scale and tilt it and all that other stuff, all of the science that you're purporting works on a macro scale must work on the micro scale. That's what a model is. Make no mistake about it. Okay? If you're going to say, oh, we have this ball that's spinning and their water sticks to it and people are upside down and it's holding in gases and air and stuff like that. If you are going to say globe model, you have to create a model in which all of that shit works. In other words, so let's look at this. So this is what a model is. It's a three-dimensional representation. So in other words, not a computer. I made a computer model. I don't give a shit. I don't care about that at all. No, make an actual model in which the physics that you're proclaiming work actually works. Do you know what they're never going to be able to do? That. So every time somebody, flat earther, says, well, the globe model, shut the fuck up. Shut up. Marty Leeds, Pastor Marty's here to tell you, you got to stop saying that. What is let's talk about a model. What's a model? It's a likeness made to scale, an architect's set of designs. It's a three-dimensional representation of the science that you proclaim happens on a macro scale. We show it happening on a micro scale. So what is the ball? What is that globe? What is it? It's actually a concept or a theory. There is no model. There's no model. A concept is a general notion, the immediate object of a thought. So in other words, we dreamed it up. We thought it. We conceived it in our heads that this is how this thing works. Great. What is a theory? Essentially that. It's a conception. It's a mental scheme. So do we have a concept and a theory of the globe? Sure. No problem. We can all imagine a globe. We've seen the alleged image or pictures, which are images that are actually just not pictures at all, right? Of the globe. So we can conceive that in our minds. Do we have a model of it? No, we do not. Because in order to have a model of it, what is a model? As you guys know, as we just said, it's just like this. It's a model, like model railroad sets, model car, okay? Those guys would have to make a model just like that in which all of their science works. Now, what's so beautiful about this is that they've got all the opportunity to do this in the world. Do you know why? Because of that bullshit that they placed in our classrooms. Globes. You have a quote-unquote representation of what you think conceptually what the Earth is. Now that you have that, make any of your science work on that thing. Then you would have a model. So anytime Jaron or Austin or any of the flat earthers proclaim that they have a globe model, you guys are full of shit. You guys have no idea what you're saying. You have to be very careful with the words that you're saying. Because in order for them to have a model, you know what you'd have to do? Put water on that thing. Make it spin really fucking fast and make the water stick to it. Put people upside down right there and show me how gravity keeps them on the ball in a miniature scale, in a miniature microcosmic scale of how that works. Put a person on there with gravity holding them together, by the way, which, by the way, you would have to make gravity hold that whole thing together. So then you'd have to spin it, keep the person on there, and while you're spinning it, have all the water stay on the ball. Then you would have a model. Not only that, you also have to figure out and explain, and not even explain, I don't give a shit about your explanations or your conceptions or your theories. Show me a model of air and water and pressure staying on the ball without a container. Fuck the ball. Fuck the globe. Don't even give me a globe that's spinning and has water on it and stuff like that. Forget about all that. Just make me a container without a container that contains gas and air pressure. Start there. Then we could say, oh, shit, they have a model. Then us flat earthers may have to be like, well, I guess still geometrically flat, but I guess they do have a model of how, but they don't have that. They haven't even come close. Not even close. Do you know how many things you would have to make work on that in order for their model to work? Put anything on that thing and get it spinning at 100 miles an hour and keep it on it, according to the science that you proclaim. So this is the problem. This should have been absolutely confirmed and established before anybody got his foot on a plane and went south. That should have been made crystalline clear. You don't have a model, so shut the fuck up. Do you know what? If you were going to proclaim that model for all of those atheists and stuff like that, you might as well make me a flying spaghetti monster model, because that's how insane it is. You have a ball tilted, spinning at 1,037.5 miles an hour at the equator that's holding water on it, and people upside down with gases and air pressure and all this other stuff, and you can't mimic any of it. You might as well make me a flying spaghetti monster model. That's how ridiculous this is. So stop saying they have a model. You're welcome. Okay. So when you actually go to the globe, you can't do any science on it. Any of the scientific method doesn't work because you don't have a model in which you can be like, well, this is what we can say space is absolutely doing. So what they're really doing is it's the science versus the science TM is really what it is. Us on the left, we're actually just being honest about the scientific method. Dude, I can't fucking tell you what the sun is. Jesus Christ. I don't know what the moon is. I can't tell you how far away those things are, and I'm just being honest. Fuck. You got to dodge knives from these people. We're just being honest. While we're being honest, this is what these people proclaim to be true. Show us because that's essentially what you're saying is going on. Build us a model of that as well. Because accordingly, when we talk about the flat earth model, we're just talking about the earth. We're just talking about the geometric plane that we're on and that we can prove is flat. We're not saying, at least I'm not saying, anything about what's going on in the heavens because, as I've said and repeated myself, and I'm doing it here, I can't say shit. I'm just being honest. But I know that this, you have no model that shows this whatsoever. That's not a model. That's a computer simulation. Now make any of that work in the real world. Well, flat earthers make the eclipse work. We already went over that. That's up there. Do you know what? Compared to the globe model that doesn't exist, that's not a thing. Do you know what is a better model? Us flat earthers have a better model than their globe model. Do you know what it is? A food container bowl is a better model of the flat earth than anything the globies have presented at all. This sounds like a joke. It's not a joke. A fucking KFC bowl is a better model of the flat earth. If you put one of those KFC bowls, right, and you got the freaking delicious crispy chicken in there and the potatoes and then all the ocean of gravy that is, right? If you put that on the ground and then you put water in there, would the water maintain level just as it is on Earth? I think it would. I think it would. Would we experience no rotation on our KFC bowl model of the flat Earth? Yes. If you put one of those like plastic lids on top of it, just like we're saying that there's some sort of container or dome, and then you put gases and air inside the KFC bowl, would it stay in there? Yes, it would. If you put a bunch of lights and flash on top of the thing that's not physical whatsoever, would you be able to go in there and with some magnetism, things that we don't understand completely yet, see it differently from the different areas of the KFC bowl? Yeah, we could do that too. Does that mean we have an explanation or a total model of the heavens? No, we don't. We don't claim to. I'm certainly never going to claim that. But that shit right there is a better model than this. You know why? Because that's not a model. That's not a model. As soon as Dave McKeegan can put a gallon of water on that and spin it at anywhere close to the speeds, then you'd have a model. Until then, stop. Flat earthers, please, please God, stop saying we have a model. Stop conceding these points. Just be honest. It's going to get us way ahead, okay? So there's that. So, by the way, now all of these people are saying... that, you know, flat earthers, you don't have a model, you have that sort of stuff. Well, apparently, like, there's a guy, well, I'll show you this here. This is Joseph Hanvey, and he's actually presented a model that shows that, yes, the southern star rotations can operate in the exact opposite way, that, this is flat, stationary, dome, that sort of stuff. Now, is this model work? Is it true? Are we going to put, I'm putting all my faith behind the model of Joseph Hanvey? No. Do you know why? Because just as I said, even if Joseph Hanvey's model turns out to be right, or turns out to explain everything that we can in this earth, it still would be a model. Because, let me repeat myself, until you extract yourself, go above the thing and look upon it and say, yes, this is what's going on, it will always be speculation. It will always be a theory. Just as I said in 2022 on that stage. Nothing's changed. So this is Joseph Hanvey. It's just a little, 4 or 3 minute clip or something like that. Basically showing a model. Before those guys left, he's saying, yeah, actually, I think they will see the 24-hour sun. And we can actually find the sky trails in the middle that go this way. And we can actually show southern star rotation and northern star rotation. And do you know what this is all based on? Well, he'll tell you, but it's not anything physical. Just as I said. And everything is based on where the person is in position. The apparent sun, the apparent light in the sky is based on where the person is on the flat earth. Everything that I was saying, literally, before I even knew this guy, this is what I was saying, that if you were going to, try to understand flat earth at all, these are the parameters and the guidelines that you would have to follow. Whatever model you make can't be physical. Upstairs, it can't be. This is exactly what this guy did. So let's watch it.
I would put it to you like this. If there's a dome, if we're in an enclosed system, does that not mean that there are a whole lot of variables that we don't know about that could affect the lights in the ceiling?
Yeah, I can grant that.
Well, I'll play the rest of it. I just want to stop you right there. Okay. So if you can grant that, if you're fully admitting that, Will Duffy, then you would also have to admit that this is no final experiment, because there's a boatload of variables and considerations that we have no idea about, that we can't even know, and you have to admit that those things need to be taken into consideration. But yet, what did he do? They still went down and did the final experiment, and we proved that it's a globe. But here you are admitting that, well, if it's not a globe, and we absolutely can prove that the Earth is flat, then I guess there's a whole bunch of shit that we got to rethink. Duh. I mean, to be honest, I can't even believe that this is in contention whatsoever. Well, here you have the guy that set up the whole thing, funded it, and he's fully admitting to you. There's a whole bunch of stuff we don't know. But I assumed everything physical must be earthable, and so therefore, we're just going to continue on with this experiment. It's a globe. According to you, not really. Not at all.
I would put it to you like this. If there's a dome, if we're in an enclosed system, does that not mean that there are a whole lot of variables that we don't know about that could affect the lights in the ceiling?
Yeah, I can grant that.
So I'm here with my version of our flat Earth, my model of it. All I can say is I'm extremely humbled.
Sorry, let me stop right here. I'll play this again. Sorry. This person says here, I have a model in my mind. I keep an open mind. If something new doesn't jive with all the other facts or dots, that's when I shelve it for things to sift out. You actually don't have a model in your mind. What you have in your mind is a conception. What you have in your mind is a theory of how things work. You can't actually put a model, this is what I mean. A model is a three-dimensional representation of something that you have to see in the physical world. So this is why it's very important to understand words and what they mean. You don't have a model in your mind. That's not a thing. You have a theory. You have a conception. Okay, let's watch Joseph Hanby. I'll shut up now.
Because I believe what they... So I'm here with my version of our flat Earth, my model of it. All I can say is I'm extremely humbled because I believe what they just witnessed is not only what I've been saying for months now and claiming that the biblical cosmological model predicts it, but I was able to model it as well. And 2 days before today, I got my best version of the modeling so far, and it's only going to get better and better. And from what I'm seeing from the footage of the confirmed 24-hour Antarctic sun, which I've been saying for a while now that I would bet everything that we do see it, what I'm seeing, I'm not there, but what I'm seeing, it fits exactly what I can demonstrate within this model. Now, is this model perfect and exactly like the system that our creator created? No, but it is following the principles and the descriptions that he gives us in his word. And by doing that, I'm able to account for these phenomena. So I can account for the 24-hour sun. So with this kaleidoscopic type system, what you get is an apparent view to the luminaries at all times. So what their sources are.
Let me just stop and reiterate what he said there. An apparent position in the sky, which means that what you see is completely determined. I mean, obviously, whatever, but completely determined upon the person viewing it.
I would put it to you like this.
Shit, I just screwed that up. Let's try this again. Let's just watch it again. It's totally fine.
I would put it to you like this. If there's a dome, if we're in an enclosed system, does that not mean that there are a whole lot of variables that we don't know about that could affect the lights in the ceiling?
Yeah, I can grant that.
So I'm here with my version of our flat Earth, my model of it. All I can say is I'm extremely humbled because I believe what they just witnessed is not only what I've been saying for months now and claiming that the biblical cosmological model predicts it, but I was able to model it as well. And 2 days before today, I got my best version of the modeling so far, and it's only going to get better and better. And from what I'm seeing from the footage of the confirmed 24-hour Antarctic sun, which I've been saying for a while now that I would bet everything that we do see it, what I'm seeing, I'm not there, but what I'm seeing, it fits exactly what I can demonstrate within this model. Now, is this model perfect and exactly like the system that our Creator created? No, but it is following the principles and the descriptions that He gives us in His Word. And by doing that, I'm able to account for these phenomena. So I can account for the 24-hour sun. So with this kaleidoscopic type system, what you get is an apparent view to the luminaries at all times. So what their sources are, we don't know for sure what the source is, but what we do know is the light we see is an apparent view to each viewer at all times. We're not seeing the physical object, the physical source itself. We see what appears to be a physical representation in an apparent position to us at all times. In the system He created a cast metal mirror, a molting looking glass, or a bronze metal mirror that reflects heat in His description of His Word. When you apply those principles and then you study superfluids and how those act and how it's very likely that the ceiling of our domed mirror is filled with a superfluid, that superfluid layer would create a two-way mirror at its level surface, which is what I have represented here. And when you do that, you get that exact same thing where you have a source light coming in, and then from beneath, depending on your position on the realm, you see an apparent representation of that source light. And it's quite beautiful. It's actually spreads the light out so perfectly and evenly that it's an amazing creation. We know water's level. We know we need a container for gas pressure. We know we're not moving, that we're stationary. So all of those things, and we know that the sun's not 93 million miles away, a ball of mainly helium gas in a near perfect vacuum.
So it would all be dependent on your apparent position, where you are in the earth, and that sort of stuff. So all of these things, once again, completely built a model, not based on anything physical. And then next thing you know, it's like, well, now as he's saying, is that the model? I'll be the first to tell you, if Joseph Hanby completely finishes his model and he figures out, oh, here's how the retrograde motion of Mercury works and all this other stuff, I would still say at the end of the day, I'd be happy to be like, it's a pretty good working model thus far. But at the end of the day, I would be completely honest with you guys and say, guess what? Until we go outside of the realm and look upon it and absolutely prove it, it'll always be a theory. That, my friends, is what I said when what I meant earlier when I said us flat earthers, at least some of us, as we've come to find, especially with this, there's a bunch of dickbag flat earthers. I could have told you that before, but that they're not humble. They're a bunch of egomaniacs is what they are. Flat earth should humble you to look up and be like, what a mystery, what wonderment. That's what it should do. For some of us it has. Some of us, as we can find, no. All it did was actually placate their ego to make them even more jackasses. And you know what? I think God probably had something to do with that too. So, of course he did. Anyway, so let's have some fun. And this is a clip. Why did we become flat earthers in the first place? Well, because we love good memes. That's why. Number one, ballers' tears always seek their level. Hilarious, by the way. Because water is always level. Okay, so, but because one of the reasons that we realized that the Earth is probably not what we're being told anyway is because of the space organizations. Now, what we're going to do is look at some clips. This is like 2 minutes, something like that. And the background music is from Foundering. Amazing pianist. And this is all clips from a documentary. I just took little clips here and there of the space station being built. Now, if you have to understand that all these things I'm about to show you, this is what the globe people believe. They believe that they have to believe this stuff is true because that's what's the foundation of their science behind their globe model that they don't have. Now, when we look at this, we just laugh our asses off because of how ridiculous it is. So, the wonderful foundering, this is what is past for them being in space. Let's just have some fun. Let's just video time here at the Gnostic Academy. There he is, and and they're getting this the moon. There's the moon, short horizon on that moon. There they are, working on some space stuff in the spaces, and they got there. Oh, he's not even. Is he even tethered? Is he even tethered? He's just got some backpack on that he's just floating in space as they're going 17,500 miles an hour. And this is looks good. Looks good. Sold. I'm totally believe that. And they're just got to move it to the left a little bit there. There they are. He's just hanging out in space. He's just got his welder there. And I don't know how they have welding stuff in space with no air to make the fire, but anyway, it doesn't matter. Then they've got some sort of little cube there. Maybe he's Jewish. That's like anyway. So then he's like driving over. He's just got to get over to this one area. Got to make sure they show the American flag there. And then this guy, is he tethered there as well? They're in space. Very spacey. These guys just open the door there while they're flying at 17, 18, 19 times the speed of sound. So, once again, it's just one of those things. Like if you're of the consciousness that believes that all this stuff is real and true, it's no offense. There's nothing else that we have to discuss. Believe what you want to believe. Have your thoughts, your whatever. But we're looking at this and being like, we're just going to be honest. This is fucking retarded. That's my official scientific explanation for what we're looking at right now. Marty, the Christian pastor, wants to tell you that this shit's fucking retarded. Okay. Thanks to Foundering. There he is, floating in space. There he is. So, there is. So, let's watch a quick, this is like 2 minutes of the moon landing, and let's talk about this.
Tony, this is so great you can't believe it. I believe it, Charlie. It's raining, John. Look at it go, would you, Charlie? You got all your steering, it's great. Oh, this is going to be some kind of different ride. Hippity hoppity, hippity hopping over hill and dale. Da 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 da. Hippity hopping along. One ignition. Flat away, Houston. Vector good. We're burning flat. That's flat. Looks good, flight. How's the base shot, flight? Roger. Stand by for splashdown.
Okay, good enough. So this is, what is this? Okay, this is Austin. This is Austin and Owen. And this is Austin talking about, now think about this. Austin and those guys just got aboard a plane, but we've all probably, gotten aboard before. And then they just flew, they're still on the flat stationary Earth, and they flew south to this land that's outside of the realm of the sun's causeway, if you will, of the Tropic of Capricorn and Tropic of Cancer, and they went way over here. But they were still on Earth. They haven't left Earth's atmosphere. They didn't travel 238,000 miles in a lunar module and land on some place that they've never been to before. He didn't do any of this. He just got aboard a plane and went to Antarctica, and this is what he had to say about it.
It all pointed south. So we took off from Chile during this. Trust me, I know that's where we were because I couldn't talk to anyone. And then we fly south for 4 hours, and after 2 hours, we're over ice. So I don't know about the other side. I'm actually interested in that now can I fly from one of those other continents and get here? Because it shouldn't take much longer. But there are really no flights that do that. So maybe that's the next step, because the real final anything would have been to circumnavigate this place and to keep going and pop back up on the other side.
Yeah.
I will say this though. So the whole narrative is like they don't allow free and private exploration. That is true. But they have a very sufficient cover story for it, bro. Like when you fly over there, you're like, of course no one's really privately exploring this place. You're going to die. Okay.
Right.
It's scary, dude. It's like even in the plane, you're like, all right, this is kind of uneasy in a way because it's just vast ice. And then there's these crevices that you fall in all over the place. So they have to survey it for you to even like move a mile over.
That's Antarctica. And he's saying, he's flying over it, and he's like, it's scary, bro. It's fucking scary. And then when they get there, you can't even just freely, whatever, go around and explore it and that sort of stuff because there's vast crevices that they have to go and all that sort of stuff. You mean to tell me that none of that stuff was a consideration when they went to the moon? These guys are getting aboard a plane. They're going to a place that's just ice that has like comforts. They have like showers and bathrooms and fucking food and other people there and the internet and Starlink and all this other shit. And he had full of trepidation. He was scared. What do you think the first people to go on? Do you really think the first people to go to the moon? To go to the moon, you just landed. You're 238,000 miles away. It's you and a couple other dudes. You're landing up on a place you've never been to before. You're stepping out onto unknown lands. Do you know how fucking scared you would be to do this? You would be shitting your pants. They don't even know yet if they're going to be able to get off the moon. They don't even know if they're going to even get home yet. And what are they doing? Hippity hoppity, hippity hoppity. You would be climbing out of that module and you would be like, that's what you would be doing. You'd be scared fucking shitless. You wouldn't be golfing and driving cars around and being like, hippity hoppity, hippity hoppity. These guys went to a place on the earth and they were scared. But if you believe in the globe model, you just have to believe all that. Okay, let them. The first image of the Earth, actually, television picture from space, the satellite, was on April 1st, 1960. That's April Fool's Day. So they have to believe in cars. They have to believe in cars in space. The proponents of the globe model that doesn't exist.
Well, I think it looks so ridiculous and impossible. And you can tell it's real because it looks so fake, honestly. We'd have way better CGI if it was fake.
So once again, what is this thing made of that it can withstand is that vinyl? Is that glass? Is that leather? What is that's withstanding the temperatures of space and things like that? Where is this car now? Did it lose track? What's going on there? So this is, of course, Earth from space. This is, once again, what you have to believe in, and this is what they do believe in to prove the globe. This. Now, you'll just have to, you can get mad at me all you want and all this other stuff, but I'm just going to, once again, with my eloquence, basically say that you're retarded if you believe in this. Okay? What about space temperatures? Negative 455 degrees Fahrenheit? Is that guy just floating untethered in space with a freaking, backpack on that's and it's negative 455 degrees? Well, there's no air in space, so it isn't really that cold and all this other stuff. But then they talk about that. By the way, you couldn't prove any of it either, could you? No, you can't. So how about bendy space-time? Space and time come together to create some sort of Play-Doh-like substance that bends, and that's the gravitational well in which the moon fall or whatever. How is there bendy space-time? What is space-time created with? What is the materiality, if you will? It's not material. That it's created with that allows it to bend. And forget about an explanation. Show us how space-time comes together to form some Play-Doh that bends. Just, no, I don't want a theory. I don't want a concept. I don't want you to draw a computer model of it in some images. Draw a actual three-dimensional model of it. Show us how that works. How about this? When those guys were in Antarctica, it was close to perihelion. Perihelion says that the sun, that we are 3 million miles closer to the sun than in summer. Can you explain to me, and don't even explain, don't show me a theory or a concept, don't make a computer model of it, get closer to a heat source and make it go colder. Show us a model of that. Okay? So, while we have guys like, and by the way, isn't this funny? I caught this. This is the Australian Research and Space Exploration. It's Australia's first agency, and it's called ARSE. By the way, there's a lot of British, right? Isn't that in Australia and that sort of shit? The British slang for a person's buttocks or anus is arse. So, while guys like Dave McKeegan are basically like, wow, flat earthers explain all of this. We can't. Nor could we. And by the way, you're assuming a whole bunch of shit. You're assuming that sun right there and that moon right there is on some specific path and it's physical and it's going in this way. Well, what we're showing today, chances are that's not even close, dude. So while Dave McKeegan's like, how? Dave, how about you show us how? Now, once again, don't show us. Don't give me an explanation. Don't do some fucking, if he hears this video and I'm going to respond to you, Marty, I don't give a fuck, dude. I won't even watch it. I will watch it, though, if you actually give me a model of the globe that spins, that holds air pressure and has gravity and people are sitting upside down in Australia. I will absolutely watch it if you show me that and can absolutely prove that. And I will I'll go on Simon Dan's show, Dave McKeegan's show. I'll go on all of them and be like, dude, well, I want to make sure before I leave this earth that I'm crystalline clear, that if there was a truth that I was supposed to come to, that I'm going to come to it. I'm going to embrace it. I'm going to say, hallelujah, Lord. But you know what that's never going to be? A ball earth. It's never, You know why? Because once again, the one thing that we can prove shows us that this ain't a ball. It's that simple. So let's watch one more thing and then let's, a few more things here. Okay.
Okay.
YouTube.
One of these guys in the room is also propped up by all the algorithms.
All right.
Yeah,
All right. I make popular content, man. I make popular content because it's funny.
Wait. You're prioritized by the algorithm.
No, I'm things that people like to watch are prioritized by the algorithm.
If I Google
nobody
Wits It Gets It, you
guys,
come up.
So few people are stupid enough to fall for a flat Earth, so nobody watches you guys.
Dave, listen.
Interesting.
If I YouTube Wits It Gets It geocentrism, a literal stream I did, you pop up. Can you explain to me why you're popping up when I search for me? Okay, let's not play games.
Let's try it.
YouTube admitted in Congress they deprioritize flat Earth content because it's misinformation. So what?
Yeah, I don't get it. I got if the Earth is flat, what's under it? Shorts.
Yeah,
solar system from Earth's perspective.
Of course, because it's heavily censored. It doesn't mean it's true, but we don't have to play this game that you're not propped up.
Jeff recommends popular content, but I make very good, informative, educational content.
Look at that. What do you go down? What do you have to do with Wits It Gets It geocentrism? What does your video have to do with it? You just proved my point live for the whole entire audience.
Maybe I put the keyword.
Okay.
Okay, let me just say something really quick here. This is Professor Dave and Witsit arguing, right, about the algorithms, right? Why is one of the reasons, or the main reason that I support Dave Weiss' app? Why? Because what he has done is basically taken all of that flat Earth content that shows that the Earth is flat and stationary, and it's been completely hidden. Dave Weiss had to make his app so that it would basically, it's essentially a search engine is essentially what it is for the most part. And because all of this stuff has been censored, this is why Dave Weiss had to make the app, so that you could find this stuff, which is brilliant, by the way. Fantastic. Now, here's Dave, Professor Dave, arguing with Wits It Gets It, basically saying that they don't hide flat Earth. Once again, this shows the level of what they're even willing to concede. I don't give a fuck about what the shape of the Earth is at all. But you know what we do know? As Witsit said, in Congress, they literally said that they were going to stop people from actually finding flat earth content, that they were going to censor this. They said it in Congress. Whitsit's telling Professor Dave this, and Professor Dave's like, well, no, they don't actually do that. I just make really good content. And then you search Whitsit geocentrism, and what comes up? 2 videos basically saying flat earthers are fucking retarded because Professor Dave has debunked them. This is the level of people that you're dealing with. Once again, why do you think I never entered into some debate against a fucking glober? Because that's who I'm dealing with. I'm dealing with a guy that can't even be honest or concede anything. So I don't give a shit what he says. Who cares about the shape of the earth? You can't even concede. You can go and watch the video of them talking about it in Congress, Dave. You bumbling fucking moron. It doesn't matter. I actually don't think he's a moron. What I think is he's spiritually devoid. He's got no soul. He's got a soul, but fuck is it decrepit. It's just a little it's like a dead frog upside down, like belly up with like foam coming out of his mouth. That's Professor Dave's soul. So he can't even concede what they went to Congress to talk about. Do you really think he's going to concede any points of flat earth? We know he doesn't. So who gives a shit? This is why I don't debate these people. I don't even bother. Now, we're also going to show what they're about to talk about. This is one data point out of 20,000 others showing that the flat stationary plane that we're on, that we clearly see too far. What they're about to talk about is, of course, this, and I think it's been beat by now, but it's a long distance photography, and accounting for all the height in which they are on the mountains and stuff like that, they see 275 miles. Now, of course, what Whitsit is going to do is you can put all this stuff in the globe earth calculator, and you're going to see that there's no way, according to a globe, you should see those mountains at all. And there's countless examples of this. Professor Dave can't even admit this one thing. This is the kind of people you're dealing with. It has nothing to do with science. It has nothing to do with what we can prove or what we can't prove. As I've said before, this is a spiritual topic. Do you really think you're gonna get people to concede that everything upstairs is metaphysical and spiritual when they don't believe in spirit in the first place?
So this was the world record at the time. It's been beaten now for the longest line of sight photograph ever taken. This is a mountain called Pic Gaspard. Okay. And it was, so now on a globe, if I look out, the earth should be curving and blocking things in the distance, similar to how I can't look around a corner, right? Like if I look, it's like looking at a hill. So if based on your height,
taken at 12,000 feet though, right?
Correct. Right. So what you do is you pull up Earth Curve Calculator, you put the observer height in, and then it'll tell you where the horizon will be, and it'll tell you how much of the target hidden height there is. So this is from the Earth Curve Calculator, official calculator. And if you look at it, the observer was 9,000 feet up. The target hidden height, meaning how much Earth curvature should be there, is 16,000 feet. And the top of the tallest part of the mountain is only 12,000 feet. That means the top of that mountain should be 4,000 feet below Earth curvature.
Okay. And then Dave, what do you say to that?
Two things. One, I cannot verify any of those numbers. Those could absolutely be fabricated by you. And number two, we're not doing any of the math. So those are.
So you can go and watch the video. I've watched most of it anyway. And so Dave just basically says, well, I can't verify any of this math. It's like, he won a world record for how far he could see. So talk about, they went to Congress. There's video of them talking about saying that they're going to censor flat earth, hence why Dave had to make his app. Then the guy wins a world fucking record for being able to see how far. And what is Professor Dave's response? I can't verify that. No, Dave, what you can't verify is literally anything upstairs. If you're going to be honest with yourself, but you're not. You're going to lie to yourself to the last breath of your lungs. And then when you cross the gates of death, guess what you're going to find out? How much of a fucking idiot you were. That's fine. We're totally fine with that, by the way. So they can't even concede this. 275 miles away, that doesn't make sense on a ball at all. We can go to your curvature calculator. We can see that 4,000 feet. That's almost a mile. 5,280 feet is in a mile, right? just shy, if you will, 3/4 of the way or whatever the hell it is. It's flat. It's always going to be flat. It hasn't changed. Them seeing a ball in the sky, which is probably not even a ball, maybe it's a disc, we don't know. Somewhere on the earth that's south doesn't say anything about the geometric plane that we're on. If you look at this video, you look at that long distance photography, you look at that and you can't concede that, well, I guess flat earthers do have something to say because I can't explain that, then you're suspect. If you can't concede these points, you're suspect. You're not a scientist. You're not honest, you're not genuine, you're not moving through the scientific method. When you argue these things, you're not being honest. Well, we found out that that's true about some flat earthers too, didn't we? Good. Like I said, this isn't enough for me to be like, you're cool. So then we're looking at this sort of thing here, and we're saying, well, we've proven that this is not correct. Actually, we haven't, by the way, just so you know. There is nothing saying, because once again, what is being assumed here? That ball of light that you see right there, that's physical, and it's moving around that thing. Can we ever actually look at the earth from this perspective? Until we die and we get rid of our flesh vehicle and we move up to the spiritual realms, then we're going to know. Until then, guess what? This is just as good an explanation as anything. For my mind, is that what's actually going on? No, once again, that would have me being assuming a lot of different things, like that's a ball and, it's actually going where it is and it's not some other light source that's shining from above and all of the things that I can't explain or possibly know. Is this a good enough model to explain? Sure. Does it actually work? Well, as far as we could tell, none of this works. The ball model, the heavens as we model them on flat Earth, thus far we don't have a working model for that. No, we don't. So, but why do I say that this? Why do I say that this is just as good as anything, even though it might not work in all places? Okay, that's fine. I'm not claiming it does. I'm not saying that when you get outside of when you get so far away from the northern center, the center of the north there, and you get close to the south, that there isn't some sort of, magnetic anomalies that are happening. You once again, you see things differently. It's holographic. Could very well be. Now, why do I have no problem saying that, hey, this is still as good as an explanation at all? Because this is what we experience on our Earth, at least once again, when you're in the zone of the actual sun, generally this is what we experience. Can we prove that that's what's going on? No. Nope. Not even going to try to. So, but do you know what this is all based on? Essentially the astrolabe. Okay, let's look at the explanation for the astrolabe.
The planispheric astrolabe is based on the stereographic projection. This projection makes it possible to map a sphere on a plane. It is the origin of the name planispheric. The advantage of this projection is the conservation of circles and angles. A point of the sphere is projected on the equatorial plane, seen from the South Pole. A point located in the northern hemisphere will be projected inside the equatorial circle. A point of the southern hemisphere will be projected outside, the farthest from the center, the closer from the South Pole. This is why the layout of an astrolabe is limited to the Tropic of Capricorn. Its circle defines the size of the astrolabe. This is valid for an astrolabe to be used in the northern hemisphere. For an astrolabe of the southern hemisphere, the projection will be done from the North Pole, and the limb will be limited by the circle of the Tropic of Cancer.
So does everybody hear what just happened, what they just said there? That it only works, the astrolabe only works when you're essentially in the Tropic of Cancer, right? When you start moving out, further and further out, everything must be delineated by the North Pole, which means, according to the astrolabe and how it actually works, the further and further you get out from the center, the less and less the quote-unquote mechanics, if you will, work, which means that there's something else going on as soon as you enter outside of the realm of, once again, where the sun is going. Now, considering we, once again, don't even know if it's a dome, all of that sort of stuff, what can we say about that? Not much. Explain the science. Good luck. Good luck. I wish you luck.
For a location at a latitude of 50 degrees north, the horizon, which is inclined with respect to the pole axis, is projected as a circle shifted off the axis. Circles of altitude above the horizon are projected as circles that are shifted proportionally to the altitude. These circles are called almucantarats or almucatarats.
All of this stuff is based on what? The person's perspective, which is exactly what we were saying, that you cannot take your perspective out of this thing. You can't build a model, in other words, without putting the person inside the model that's experiencing it and accounting for his experience. This is essentially what the astrolabe is showing. We're also going to show that we'll go on. Oh, hold on.
On the plate, the circle of 0 degrees of altitude defines the horizon. It separates what is above the horizon, here in orange, and what is below. The east horizon is on the left. We need to remember that the celestial sphere is projected on a plane and that we see it from above, as if we were outside the celestial sphere. That explains why the cardinal points are reversed. Altitude circles are drawn above the horizon. They converge towards the zenith point. Azimuth meridians are drawn as arcs passing through the zenith point, here in green. It is also quite common to draw arcs of twilights that correspond to negative altitudes below the horizon.
Okay, there was another thing I was going to go in, but we don't really need to, go through that. The point that needs to be made here, though, is that, of course, if you look at the globe model side people, that you don't exist. That's not a thing. Those people will say, well, what those people were actually doing was taking the globe model and putting it onto a flat plane, and that's what they were understanding, right? So if you actually look at the astrolabe, there's the mater, which is the flat stationary plate of the Earth. You have basically a sun disk, the rete, and that sort of stuff, right? I'm not going to go over how all of this stuff works, right? But basically what they're saying is that, they're taking the perspective of the dome on top, and this is exactly what a planisphere essentially does, and then projecting it down, right, onto a flat plane. That's exactly what they said. But then they assume that that flat plane is a globe. So you could take the celestial sphere, just as the astrolabe does, takes a celestial sphere, or what we experience as a sphere anyway, and takes it down to a flat plane. Now, of course, what do? They put it on a ball, which is a problem, because now if you actually go to ChatGPT, they'll just tell you, well, the astrolabe's not based on a flat Earth model. And an astrolabe is not based on a flat Earth model, but rather utilizes a spherical Earth model to calculate the positions of celestial bodies like the sun and the moon, allowing users to determine and locate based on their apparent movement across the sky. That's what the astrolabe completely does. The apparent movement of the sun and the moon across the sky. Now, they go on to say, astrolabes were used for centuries by astronomers and navigators, allegedly a couple thousand years old, something like that, across different civilizations, and their design would not have been possible with a flat Earth model. The only problem with that is that the people that made the astrolabe, none of them thought this was heliocentric. None of these people thought it was a globe. As far as we could tell, the majority of people that used this thing absolutely understood the Earth to be flat and stationary, and that the things were revolving atop them. Nobody that was using the astrolabe, at least for the most part, maybe there was a few quirks here and there or whatever, some weirdos here and there, but generally everybody that used the astrolabe thought it was flat. So ChatGPT being like, well, it actually doesn't work on actually it does. Just like we can say, do you know what else works on a flat stationary plane? A 24-hour sun in Antarctica. No, it doesn't, because you guys don't have a model. Shut the fuck up. You guys don't have a model either. But do you know what we can say absolutely? That the Earth is flat. And guess what? Just as they experienced in Antarctica, that sun and moon revolve above us. That's what's going on. They actually proved that to be true. Now, did the model that we have that would explain that, is that true? No. But I don't know why anybody would assume it was true in the first place, especially, once again, with the fundamental fault and flaw that you assumed everything was material. So is this what the sun and moon are doing? I have no idea. Is this apparently from our position where I am in Missouri? Is this what we're experiencing? Yes. Can I prove any of it? No. Nope. Neither can you. Neither can any of these guys. We're just going to be honest about it. This is why it's called the apparent path of the sun. If you ask me, like, what is the sun actually doing? As I was said, I was passionately exclaiming, while I'm in Hawaii, I can't even tell you if that's a circle. It appears to be a circle. It might be spherical. Can I absolutely prove that? No. Just like when that guy saw that hologram. Could he prove that those things were actually behind there? But every trigger in his mind said they're there. Now you get to see the wonderment. Now all you flat earthers that had this thing lodged in your mind and said it must be this way, and if you don't believe it, you're a fucking idiot. Now guess what? You just get launched into the mysteries. You just get launched into the magic of what we're actually dealing with here on good old Earth. And guess what? You can fight that, and you can try to figure it out, and you can do all the quote-unquote science you can do on it. And at the end of the day, do you know what you'll absolutely come to if you're honest with your pursuit? You'll end up trying to explain that or having to explain it symbolically, just as we do. Just as we've been doing for 3 years, more than that now, but with this church, 3 years. So these guys couldn't figure it out. Robert Flood and Athanasius Kircher and Tycho Brahe and fucking Albert Dürer, these guys couldn't figure it out. Aristotle, Ptolemy, Tycho Brahe, once again, they all got their little models of what they thought was going on. Could they prove any of it? No. Did they actually figure it out? No. So you mean to tell me that these guys couldn't figure it out, but these numbnuts will? Robert Flood, Athanasius Kircher, Tycho Brahe, all of these absolute polymathic geniuses couldn't figure it out. Didn't actually give us a working model. You assume that these fucking losers are going to do it? You think these numbnuts are going to do it? What about these numbnuts? These numbnuts going to do it? No, I'm just using numbnuts. Don't get mad, guys. I just did it for comedic relief. God, calm down. All right, I actually don't think you guys are numbnuts. Love Dave, love you guys. You guys are not going to figure it out either. I will maintain that consistently till I die. I hope they do come up with a model that explains things better, but I'm not going to be holding my breath. Nor am I ever going to make a video being like, this is how it all works, guys. That's why you haven't seen it thus far. Do you really think Stinky Cash is going to... Stinky Cash... Fucking Athanasius Kircher couldn't figure this fucking shit out, but Stinky Cash is going to do it. No offense, Stinky Cash. Actually, you should probably take offense. It's a terrible name. So he's got a video on Sun and Moon 100% explained. That's what his video was. Why do you think I don't hang out with these flat earthers? Because I'm like, well, that's stupid. I would have told you that was stupid 8 years ago. Now, Flood and Kepler had a little argument about this. We talked about this when we did 3 hours of deconstructing Robert Flood. And Robert Flood said, what did he say? Oh, okay, Kepler, you may have what you appear in the apparent motions, allegedly, of the heavenly bodies in the sky, even though we can't prove that, as we're saying. But what did Robert Flood, what was his argument? You can go back and watch the live stream if you want. His argument was this. Well, you may have allegedly what you think are the circular motions or whatever of everything in the heavens, but we're explaining it alchemically, meaning that we're going to explain to you why the sun has the symbolic attributes of the sun and the things that we can extract from the sun. That's what we'll talk about. That's what we're going to discuss. That's what we're going to write about. And guess what, guys? Though that notion of the symbolic meaning of the heavens above is what's behind every single great religious or spiritual doctrine. It's what's behind the Bible. It's what we've been teaching. It's what we've been consistent about. So those guys couldn't figure it out. I don't think these guys are going to do it, and I don't think these guys are going to do it either. No offense, gentlemen. Love you. I do. Except that fight the flat earth guy. That guy's a fucking douchebag. Anyway. So where do we go from here? That's the question. Now, for us, I just laughed about this whole thing. I did. Like, I didn't lose a bit of sleep. I wasn't like, oh my God, now it's all, I got to rethink everything. Nope. We're just continuing to do exactly what we were doing, saying exactly what we were saying, explaining cosmology in exactly the same way we have, maintaining consistency. Do you know why? Because I didn't come up with that shit. Do you know where I learned it? By studying all of these other cultures, by wits it gets it. Listen to me. By actually paying attention to what Genesis 1 has to tell me. I took it seriously. So where do we go from here? If you can't get rid of the people who you think are idiots, and this goes from flat earthers and globe earthers, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to continue to fight the flat earth? Well, you go and fight it, bro. You fight it till you get your ass in that coffin at the end of this life. And guess what? You're going to find out that you're wrong. But that's fine. I'm not going to knock on your door and be like, I'm going to fight you and stuff. No, you go on and you live the life that you need to live, and you go on the spiritual quest that you're on. Of course, I'm sure you don't believe in God. I'm sure you don't believe in, it's not even a belief. What we're saying is that we can prove that there's an intelligence behind this thing. Beyond that, that's a whole nother lecture. But where do we go from here? Are we just going to continue to fight about this stuff? I don't even bother with it, because I know that this has nothing to do with science. This has nothing to do with proofs. It never did. And I said that a long time ago. This is a spiritual journey. You're never going to get guys like this that are not on a spiritual journey to understand the spirituality that's enshrouding them every time that they step outside. Well, it's there anyway, but you get what I'm saying. So what are you going to do about it? Guess what, guys? There's going to be more flat earthers. I promise you. I'm going to do my part to make sure there's more. And when somebody's like, how do you explain this? I'm going to say exactly what I've been saying for years. I don't. Nor would I even try to. So there's going to be more flat earthers. What are you going to do about it, MC Toon? Do you really think that this was the nail in the coffin for flat earth? Any of those globe earthers that said that, you guys are so fucking retarded. Jesus Christ. Good Lord. There's going to be more flat earthers. What are you going to do about it? So, as I said a long time ago, flat earth is not about the earth being flat. It's nothing to do with it. Nothing to do with it. I made this video, this lecture or whatever, a long time ago. I think when we were in Hawaii. I was like, it's got nothing to do with it, guys. You guys can argue that, go on your debate shows, get on Modern Day Debate and fucking argue all day long. You're arguing a person that's on a spiritual quest, that's trying to genuinely understand his world, and somebody that's listening to a bunch of propaganda that thinks we went to the fucking moon. How much lean brain tissue are you going to burn? How many breaths are you going to waste? Let's watch this. This Mother Earth is a moral dimension. Mankind's litmus test is a litmus test of his heart. It is a test of his morality. Every moment we are given the choice to either A, lead with our hearts, or B, not. So for the record, I don't really believe that the Earth is flat or concave or convex at all. If you ask me my real opinion on what the shape of the Earth is, I wouldn't say it looks like this or like this. Really, the Earth looks like this. Nah, I'm just kidding. Shit's flat as fuck. That's why I ended that documentary. Flat Earth, the Ultimate Litmus Test. That's the end of the documentary. Spoiler alert. Should have gave that away. But anyway. Shit. They all die in the end. Oh my God. Anyway. Why do you think I ended that documentary with that? Because I knew at the time. It's nothing to do with science. It has nothing to do with what's actually true. Has nothing to do, and that goes for all you flat earthers too. All you flat earthers that were ego fucking maniacs and just asserted a bunch of stuff to be true. Well, guess what? You're going to have to eat some humble pie again. That's cool. That's cool. That's what this whole thing's about. No problem there, right? So, as I said And I'll always say, flat earth is a spiritual journey. I'm bored with it. I'm bored with, what's the shape of the earth? It's fucking flat. It's so provably flat that it's annoyingly obvious. Everything after that, it's got what's going on here. That's what it's about. It's what's going on here. That's what it's about. And I've been saying this for a while now. Flat Earth, and this is what I said in the video. Flat Earth is a litmus test for your integrity, your honesty, your discernment, your spiritual connection, your ability to apply proper science, your willingness to live and speak uneasy truths. That's what this whole thing is about. So all you people are like, well, I don't trust. You mean to tell me you trust Jaron and Whitsett, and I think the whole thing was fake and stuff like that? It doesn't even matter. Explain to me how the moon, you can see stars through the moon. Now you're going to have to get to that honesty thing. You're going to have to understand your discernment, what you can and cannot know. You're going to have to understand your spiritual connection. You're going to have to understand how you can properly apply the scientific method to something you can't apply it to. This is what I mean by it's a spiritual journey. Because God's upstairs in the heavens, and he's everywhere, obviously, but he's basically making his list and checking it twice. He's like, okay, well, I guess we can check some things as far as honesty when it comes to Austin Whitsett and Jaron, if they actually did go, that they were at least honest. So once again, all you Globers are like, it's shit, you're just fucking grifting and you're just a bunch of liars. You owe those guys an apology, you jackasses. And all you flat earthers that was like, yes, there can't be a 24-hour sun. You owe an apology to the globe earthers. And just like Owen was saying too, totally agree with him on this. Just fucking own up to it. No one cares. No, it's like, oh, well, jeez. It turned out I was wrong. Jesus Christ, have you lived my life? That's just, especially for an Irishman, that's like a daily occurrence. So calm the fuck down. Because it is given unto you to know what? The mechanics of the heavens. It is given unto you to know what? How everything works upstairs. It is given unto you to know what? The material realms above us and how it all functions. Nope, that's not what Christ said. What did Christ say? What did good old Jesus say? Because it is given unto you to know what? The mysteries of the kingdom of heaven. What can you know about the mysteries? Well, just as we said, that they're mysteries, you're not going to know. Every single, and quote me, every single person that comes down to this plane of earth is not going to know until they leave, and even then we don't even know, how this thing absolutely works. And let me give you another example. And this is one of the ones that I said first and foremost. In fact, I think this is one of the ones that's on Dave's app. And I passionately exclaim this, basically screaming into a camera. You guys are claiming that you can understand all this stuff and how it works, that stuff up there. Explain to me this. How does a caterpillar go into a cocoon and metamorphosize? I don't even know what word. What? Metamorphosize? How does it change? I'm an author. How does a caterpillar go into a fucking cocoon and become a butterfly? Forget about the lights in the sky and faces of the moon, and I can see shit behind the moon, and we see a 24-hour sun doing this, and then we go to the north, it's doing the opposite, and blah, blah, blah. I don't care about any of that. Explain to me the mechanism that created that. It's called humility. It's called recognizing that in these fleshly little body vehicles that we have here, that there are limitations to what we can know. You should come to know those limitations, because then you're going to get a much better understanding of who you are and where you are. Okay? And you don't have to understand how a caterpillar goes into a cocoon and becomes a butterfly and flies away. You don't have to understand that in order to be a good bird. Okay? You don't have to explain that. I understand it all. You can just be honest and genuine, and then you can get those wings and fly up to heaven. Okay, that's going to do it. Guys, thank you so much. I hope you appreciated this. I couldn't believe how people were responding to this. And to be honest, it's really, I'll be honest like this. I find it kind of annoying that when they did this whole trip, a guy that made Flat Earth the ultimate litmus test, it's been seen by millions of people. that no one said, hey, maybe Marty should go. We should fucking call him. Maybe he's got some different ideas on what's going on. Not even a fucking phone call. Maybe next time you guys will. Maybe next time when we actually do a final experiment, and an actual experiment, not an observation, an actual experiment, then we'll get in a plane and we'll fly over Antarctica. They say you can't do that, right? And we'll get to the other side. We will fly from where the tip of, well, no, we'll fly from that place in Antarctica, then we'll go to Buenos Aires, right? Or we'll cross it, and then we can, and while we're doing that, then we'll also have somebody circumnavigating Antarctica. Then we would actually be doing an experiment, because what is the experiment that we're doing? About the Earth. Not about what's going on upstairs, about the Earth. Then we'll have an experiment. So, Will Duffy, you got my, maybe you'll hear this, I don't know. If you do, motherfucker, if you got some money, you got my number. So the next time you want to do this experiment, come talk to me. And I'll ask you some serious questions. And then I would say, well, don't waste your money. Don't wait. What was it? $35,000 fucking dollars for those guys to go down to Antarctica? Don't waste your money on that. Let's get a plane. Let's get a drone, whatever it is. Let's figure out, let's get all the globies and all the flatteries together. We'll get a GoFundMe and we'll just pad that motherfucker. Millions of dollars. And then we will, get a plane to fly over, or we'll get a plane to, or we'll do a group and we'll go to the North Pole, and then we'll cross the North Pole. Then we could absolutely say something about the Earth. This is exactly what I would have said to Mr. Will Duffy if he would have contacted me. I would have explained all of this shit. If Witsit Gets It and Jaron would have called me, this is exactly what I would have said to them. And then that trip would have been something completely different. But ain't nobody calling me, because that's just not how it is. 313 watching, that's the 65th prime. Prime number is divisible by 1 in itself, which means that its divisors add to 314. That's a good place to stop. Okay. Guys, if you'd like to become a good bird, you can become a good bird at Subscribe Star. You can become a Phoenix bird and a Kilo bird, Sings bird. You can become the greatest and grandest bird of all time. It's Talon P. Ma Bird. And we will have our subscriptions for the church, membership for the church, probably after Christmas. It's taken us a little bit longer than we thought to get it all together, but we will. So, Gnost Academy, 7781 County Road 3440, Mountain View, Missouri, 65548. So if you'd like to donate, once again, Venmo, Buy Me a Coffee, Cash App, Subscribe Star, get your phones out, click on that thing, empty your wallets. No, I'm just kidding. We're not greedy people. Once again, if people think like I'm grifting, once again, we used to, when I was telling that story about how we lived up north and we had to like pour in our water from the fucking ice cold river and stuff like that. Another thing that we had to do too, which is one of the reasons I should have been in Antarctica, is because we used to poop outside as well. And it was so cold that we called it the Tower of Bowel. Remember that? And it was a stalactite of poop that went up because our shitter was outside in the freezing fucking cold. Marty can handle the cold. Anyway, so website, the things. Streaming to YouTube, Rockfin, and Rumble. I don't even know if we're going to be on BitChute anymore, but podcast, all the podcasting places. All of the sermons are going to be for members only moving forward, at least most of them. I'll keep some of them out just because, we're doing our own little thing here. So all the documentaries at the Rockfin, you can view those, and I'm sure I'll put those up at Rumble at some point. And, of course, you can get the Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac app. That's right. Are you still going to promote Dave's app? Fuck yes, I am. Yes, I am. Well, that doesn't work. I wouldn't claim it does. I never supported Dave's. I've never gone, no offense, Dave, if you're listening, I'm sure you're going to listen to this. I've never gone to your app, no offense, and been like, what time is it? This is where the sun is, and this is the correct flat earth map. I've never presented that to my audience. I've never said that. Why? Why do I promote Dave's app? Because all of this shit's being hidden from you. And Professor Dave can't even fucking figure it out. That's how fucking dumb that guy is. They went to Congress and said that they were going to censor this shit. Oh, I just make good content. So, if you'd like Dave's app, you can find all of these videos that are hidden from you, because they don't want you to know about what's provably geometrically flat on our Earth, that our Earth is. They don't want you to know that. Okay? So, the Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac app. Get it. It's still a great app. Fantastic app. Nice work, Dave. Fuck them. Okay. So, and the church store, of course. You can get all the stuff at the church store. And we've got the next book that's coming out, 12 Disciples of the Zodiac, talking about all of that. Also the prayer, poetry and prayer book. And then, like I said, I'm working on a little like sort of children's mini documentary right now on the Cherokee story of creation. And so I'm hoping that that'll be out in the next week or something like that, but it's something specifically for that children could watch. I'm going to do another one too on the Ojibwe story of creation, I think, where it's going to be once again sort of like a documentary kind of thing. So, okay, wait, I got to say thank you to some people, don't I? We do. Did you guys enjoy that? Did that make sense? I hope it makes sense because I've literally been saying the same thing for years. It's like in prepping this, I had to I literally had to, I didn't have to think through anything new, like literally nothing. It was like, oh, okay. So anyway, Daniel Nestor, thank you so much. This is last week. Eric Francis, Jeffrey Roberts, Lisa Hartline, thank you so much. Jonathan Look, Stephanie Gulami, thank you for all you do, Karen and Stefan. Is that how I'm saying that? I'm sorry. For this week, Bonnie, we got a Christmas package. Janelle Goodwin, thank you so much. Bruce Hutton, thank you. This needed to be out. I have known a lot of this for a long time. Spent 2 days in Texas with my grandkids, 7, and they are what's important. Bruce, I'm not exactly sure what he's saying, but Bruce, we love you every week for sending us stuff. It's amazing. Stacy Flores, Adele Frank, Marty and Jennifer, I think this was time for me to start contributing to your church on a monthly basis. Yes, it's time. God bless it, son. Where have you been? I'm just kidding. Not much, but every little helps. Much love, Adele from Hungary. Thank you so much, Adele. Is that how you say that? Adele Frank? Anne Olgard, forever grateful, best wishes. Anne and Olav in Norway. Shelley Thompson, Philip Collins, David Dix, Finn Tinley, Crispin Cockburn, Whiskey, always grateful. Whiskey in the bin. Always love you, Whiskey. David Albers, Frederick Alberg. We've been getting more donations, which is great. Virginia Kelly, Derek Holloway, Darren Radfelder, Bruce Parsons, Nils Album, Sam O'Halloran, Paul D, Paul Fields, Merry Christmas, bro, Marty and Jen, Merry Christmas to you, Bruce Parson, Merry Christmas, thank you, Jean Jacques, always, every week, Susie and Will Gensky, the lovely, ever fucking hilarious Will Gensky, for just being awesome, consistent and kind, and likely the hardest working couple I've ever met. All of our love. Thank you so much. Jeremy Hines, thanks for today's topic. I was about to send you a voice text about all this nonsense. I wasn't aware they were going to the Antarctic trip and was asked recently about the results. My immediate response was the exact same response I had, the exact same response Dave Weiss had. It proves nothing about the Earth. Nothing. Not one thing. I appreciate you addressing the poor starting point of this experiment and the false conclusions. Much love, my friends. That's what we do. Alicia Crawford, Janine Grassi, Don Shelters, Daniel Hagar, Gavin, Alicia Crawford, every week. Daniel Hagar, Gavin, Alicia Crawford, John Vina, The Earth is Flat, and that's that. Virginia Dare, Full Circle, Thomas Morgan, Ray Brackman, excellent, thank you so much. Jared Poole says, tithing is better than dying, and that's true, okay? Salvation lies within, but your ass belongs to us. Okay, anyway. Kim Jordan, Church. Hope you hang in longer. I believe it would take off. I only really started listening to you last 6 months. I would love to be a private member. KJJ Sunset on Rockfin. Alex Meter, best church ever. Thank you, brother. Yes, it is. Unbelievable group of people in this church. Just freaking fantastic people. Jamie Diana. Merry Christmas, Marty and Jen. So thankful for all your hard work and teachings. Many blessings to you both. Kim Jordan, helping me understand, and it's okay not to. Exactly. It's okay. That's okay. We're here to humble ourselves. So God forbid we'd have to do that about our cosmology. Oh, God. 5 Coffees, praying for renewed courage today. Thank you, Marty and Jen. Carrie Musgrave, Andrew Masonette, flatter spirit. It's all spirit in the end. Love God. That's the truth. Yes, that's true. It's still flat, though. Grady Long Music, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to you both. Good with God. Cheers, Grady Long. And Undestroyer, Word 'em Up, Agnostic Academy, Broken Bear, Jesus, La Jesus. So good. Thank you, Mr. La Jesus. I appreciate you guys. Okay, that's going to do it. Wednesday, we're going to do a live stream, obviously for Christmas. Sorry, it was a 3-hour live stream today. I didn't want it to be that long, but it just had to be. Sorry. I appreciate your guys' time, and I don't like to take too much of it. So anyway, Wednesday, Christmas, Wednesday morning, 9 o'clock. Wednesday at 9 o'clock, we are going to be doing a live stream for Christmas. We're going to be talking about the symbolism of the cross, and I've got a couple other goodies for you, some really funny shit. So anyway, so I hope to see you guys there, and then we will be back on Sunday as well with, it's going to be Live with the Wife. Life with the Wife, Live with the Wife. We're going to be talking about the year in review. We like to do, after the year, we like to do a year in review and just look back at everything that we did in the past, all the stuff that we accomplished this year, all the sermons and that sort of stuff, what we project into the future as well. And next year looks like it's going to be a lot more. It just never ends. So it's great though. So, okay. So, all right, that's going to do it. Guys, I got to get out of here. May you always keep yourselves in the love of God, looking for the mercy of our Lord Jesus Christ unto eternal life. May his grace be with you all. Amen. Really appreciate you guys. Thank you all for the wonderful support. And we're going to listen to a song called The Narrow Way by yours truly. I wrote and produced this and did all the instrumentation and wrote all the lyrics and did all the editing and all that sort of stuff. So, all right, guys, wonderful. We'll see you Wednesday. Be there, okay? All right, love you guys. As always, many blessings and much love to all.
Hundreds and hundreds, blindly to lead. With sermons about something, hearing the comment, picking and choosing their beliefs. After they don't listen, and some they forget it, falling asleep in place. But that old great dragon, the one that they're hiding, well, you can't quit the meeting face to face. Chatter, a lot that don't matter, a new crop of waste. I'm raking through dead ways and growing a new take, always seeking through grace. Some goddamn man though, the light is the shadows, the gift is the hate. I'm bound to forgiving, I'm blessing through blessings, but narrow's the way and straight is the gate. Straight, prepare the way, gather up, it's time to wake, descending like a dove, turning darkness to love. Don't go set your sun or settle sun, give all your faith to the living God, may his heavenly throne be your home. The sheep will return to all those who claim truth, hungry for meat. Logos is rising with impeccable timing. Let the hypocrites take their seats. Some think that they found him, but reaching a doctrine